Chapter 2652. The strongest Divine Monarch Realm monster with a human head and a snake body was only at the Divine Monarch Realm, but its aura was very powerful. It was almost as powerful as the half-step Divine King. The High God Realm monsters with human heads and snake bodies were all at the Divine Monarch Realm. Obviously, they were a group of monsters with strength greater than their level. Behind them was an altar that towered into the clouds. On the altar, there were 3 or 4 kinds of spiritual fruits and a pitch-black trident that emitted a cold light. The trident's aura and attribute were not the same as divine weapons, but its power was definitely not inferior to a king divine weapon. The aura of the trident is a bit strange, and its attribute is also very special. It would be great if we could get it. Maybe the Samsara halberd can advance to the king divine weapon. Knight Sorrow observed the trident with the sea serpent eye. He did not want to alert the enemy, so he did not dare to use his divine soul power. As for the monsters with human heads and snake bodies, they were very powerful, but they seemed to be in a half-dormant state, and were not active. They did not notice Knight Sorrow and the others. The trident seems to contain some Dominator Realm materials. Its power is not comparable to an ordinary King Divine weapon. Cowling, who was looking at the distance, was obviously excited to find a rare treasure. She transmitted her voice to Knight Sorrow and Murong Tsai. She was too close to the group of monsters with human heads and snake bodies, so she did not dare to speak again. The trident in front of us is indeed very good, but these monsters are not to be trifled with. It seems that our strength is not enough. Murong Tsai said worriedly. There was not much confidence between her eyebrows. We have no way out. We can only choose to fight. Seeing Murong Tsai's state, Knight Sorrow reminded her. There is no exit behind us. We can only fight all the way. But we are obviously no match for the monsters in front of us. If we act rashly, we will definitely die, Murong Tsai said worriedly. With our current strength, we are indeed unable to shake this group of monsters with human heads and snake bodies. But I have a way to improve my strength. Wait for me. Knight Sorrow entered the spatial device and killed the Divine King-level extraterrestrial Devil Black Star in the bottle. The Black Star instantly turned into a large amount of power of merit and surged toward Knight Sorrow's body. The Divine King's power of virtue was very rich. It took Knight Sorrow 3 days and 3 nights to fully absorb all of it in his space artifact. His power of virtue had reached the peak of the mid-level superior god realm. If I absorb a bit more, my karmic energy will break through to the high god level. As a result, his cultivation base also rose to the high god level. At that time, I have absolute confidence that I can instantly kill the leading human-headed snake monster. Knight Sorrow, who had completely digested the merit power he had absorbed, looked at Murong Tsai and the people of the Horn clan. Brother Knight Sorrow, you said there's no way out. Is that true? Clan Chief Jiao Kong asked. Yes. When I first entered this world, I already noticed it. I didn't want to cause panic, so I didn't say anything. Right now, we only have one path, and that is to defeat the group of human-headed snake-bodied monsters in front of us. Let's see if we can find a way out. Knight Sorrow explained and continued. I now need some karmic energy. I'm preparing to sneak attack those human-headed snake-bodied monsters alone. I reckon that if I kill some of them, it will be converted into karmic energy. As long as I advance to the high god level, the crisis in front of us will be easily resolved. Brother Knight Sorrow, it's too dangerous for you to sneak attack alone. Although our Horn clan isn't strong, we can definitely fight. Jiao Kong immediately stood up to oppose Knight Sorrow when he heard that he wanted to sneak attack the group of human-headed snake-bodied monsters alone. However, there were only a few monarchs in the Horn clan, and they wouldn't be of much help to the battle. Therefore, he wasn't very confident. After all, although most of these human-headed snake-bodied monsters were at the monarch level, their aura was very terrifying. It's fine. Sneak attacks don't necessarily have to be done with more people, Knight Sorrow said and brought everyone to a flat ground far away from the human-headed snake-bodied monsters to set up a concealment array. After letting everyone hide here, Knight Sorrow took the Samsara halberd and the Clear Sky Pagoda and set up a trap array 20,000 miles away from the group of human-headed snake-bodied monsters. He was prepared to lure these monsters into the array and destroy them one by one. First, he would break through to the high god level with his karmic energy. I wonder if these monsters guarding the altar will be lured out by me. Night Sorrow looked into the distance and waved to Morong Sai and the Horn Clan. Then he moved toward the group of human-headed snake-bodied monsters. With his current strength, killing a few monarchs in an instant was no problem at all. The difficult part was the monarch-level monster. It gave people a very dangerous feeling. Night Sorrow, you must be careful. If Night Sorrow had absolute confidence, he wouldn't let her and the Horn Clan out of the Clear Sky Pagoda. Morong Sai, who was very worried, reminded him the moment he moved. It's fine. I'll be careful. These human-headed snake-bodied monsters are blocking the only way. We must kill them, Night Sorrow said and gradually approached the group of monsters. As he got closer, Night Sorrow, who had activated the Eye of the Sea Serpent, realized that the path in the distance was, in fact, cut off from the group of monsters. If I want to leave this small world, I'm afraid I can only rely on the array in front of me. Seeing the scene in front of him, Night Sorrow had an epiphany. He immediately activated the Treastrimsa Battle Mystic technique and adjusted his strength to the peak. 10,000 miles away, Night Sorrow, who was hiding in the concealment array that he had just set up, shot a Raging Flames demon at the group of human-headed snake-bodied monsters. Flames appeared all over the sky. The group of human-headed snake-bodied monsters was instantly thrown into chaos. Many human-headed snake-bodied monsters roared at the sky and looked around for the person who had shot out the flames. Here's my chance. The leading monarch-level monster had been guarding the altar without moving. Night Sorrow, who had discovered this, left the concealment array and rushed toward the monsters below. With a void reincarnation spear, he killed 3 human-headed snake-bodied monsters. It can indeed be converted into power of virtue. After successfully killing the 3 human-headed snake-bodied monsters, power of virtue immediately entered Night Sorrow's body. He immediately started killing monsters in the group of monsters. Although these god-level monsters were much stronger than ordinary god-level monsters, they were no match for Night Sorrow at all. They couldn't win by relying on numbers. At this moment, the monarch-level human-headed snake-bodied monster that had been guarding the altar and the pitch-black trident suddenly moved. It attacked Night Sorrow fiercely. This monster is a little fierce. I shouldn't be a match for it now. Chapter 2653. It's dangerous. The Yishang brothers were in a perilous situation. But there's nothing we can do. What should we do? Jiao Kong, the chief of the Horn Clan, said worriedly after seeing Night Sorrow's dangerous situation. The strength of the monarch god-level human-headed snake-bodied monster was definitely at the level of a half-step divine king. It was much stronger than an ordinary half-step divine king in the divine realm. Morong Sai said with a pale face, "We're both high gods, but I'm too weak to help Night Sorrow." In fact, Morong Sai was worried but her eyes were shining. She felt that among the high gods in the divine realm, besides Night Sorrow, no one else could face so many powerful human-headed snake-bodied monsters. Green Rock Soul-Splitting Roar, Third Roar Break Reincarnation. Night Sorrow didn't feel much pressure when the human-headed snake-bodied monsters had yet to react. When the monarch god-level human-headed snake-bodied monster came, he felt that the other high god-level human-headed snake-bodied monsters were like a tide, attacking wave after wave. It was very difficult to deal with. He had no choice but to use the divine soul attack. But after attacking, he found that these monsters didn't have divine seas at all. The Green Rock Soul-Splitting Roar had no effect on them. Forget it. I'll kill my way out. If I don't succeed, I'll die trying. Facing so many human-headed snake-bodied monsters, Night Sorrow, who was already injured, became ruthless. While using the Void Extreme Shadow Body to restrain the monarch god-level human-headed snake-bodied monsters, he attacked the other high god-level monsters and killed a dozen of them quickly. At this moment, the human-headed snake-bodied monsters were being killed by Night Sorrow. The leading monarch god-level human-headed snake-bodied monster was completely enraged. Its whole body turned golden. It was obviously going berserk. Then, the other high god-level human-headed snake-bodied monsters also turned golden. Their auras increased by 10 times in an instant. Even though Night Sorrow's strength was extraordinary, He was still completely suppressed when fighting against them in this state. If it weren't for the fact that his evolved Void Extreme Shadow Body was extremely powerful, he might even be in danger of dying. Not good. Brother Night Sorrow is in danger. Let's charge. None of the warriors of the Horn People are cowards. Seeing that these monsters had become so much stronger, Zhao Kong immediately ordered the Horn People to attack. Under his command, all the High God Realm clansmen of the Horn Clan charged out of the concealment formation. The 2,000 or so people who rushed out of the concealment array immediately attracted the attention of the snake monsters. The leading human-headed snake monster turned its head to observe them. After confirming that these people's auras were not very strong, it used very strange language to give out orders. The human-headed snake-bodied group immediately split into about 70 groups and charged towards the group of 2,000 people. The only ones left to deal with Night Sorrow were the Divine Lord-level human-headed snake-bodied monsters and the 20 or so High God-level human-headed snake-bodied monsters. However, Night Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's Eye and used Void Extreme Shadow Body, was able to deal with them with ease. He continued to slay one high deity after another. If this continued, Night Sorrow would soon be able to upgrade his power of virtue to the High God realm. However, at this time, he noticed that the Horn People who were fighting with the other High God realm human-headed snake monsters were completely slaughtered. Their combat strength was too weak. Although there were many of them could not even break through the defense of the human-headed snake monsters. Although Murong Tsai's strength was not bad, she could only protect a few people around her. The scene was very bloody and tragic. No. If this continues, there will not be many people left in the Horn People. How can I explain this to the Horn People then? Seeing the situation in front of him, Night Sorrow was anxious in his heart. At this time, he was so angry that he slapped his forehead and secretly scolded himself for being too stupid. At this moment of crisis, Night Sorrow remembered that he had 9 Divine King Grade God talismans on him. He had snatched them from the battle, so he did not immediately think of them. Let you try the power of the Divine King Grade God talismans. Although the 9 Divine King Grade God talismans in his hand were somewhat damaged under the bombardment of another God talisman, at least 80% of their power was left. Night Sorrow successfully activated one of the Divine King Grade God talismans in his hand and smashed it towards the High God Realm human-headed snake monster. Roar! The human-headed snake monster that discovered that Night Sorrow had activated the Divine King Grade God talisman was immediately frightened by the aura of the Divine King Grade God talisman, and thus escaped. However, the other High God Realm human-headed snake monsters were not fast enough, and could not escape in time. More than 20 of them were killed at once. Night Sorrow was completely freed and rushed towards the Horn People tribe's battle position. At this time, although it had only been 10 breaths of time since the Horn People tribe joined the battle, dozens of Horn People warriors had been seriously injured, and a few were even on the verge of death. In front of these human-headed snake monsters, they were simply unable to withstand a single blow. All of you, enter my spatial artifact. I have the Divine King Grade God talismans, so I can easily deal with them. Seeing that the Horn People tribe had suffered a heavy blow, Night Sorrow quickly used the Clear Sky Pagoda to summon them in. Because Night Sorrow's reaction was fast enough, no one from the Horn People tribe had fallen so far. Sai, you also come in. To avoid being accidentally injured by the Divine King Grade God talisman. After summoning Morong Sai, Night Sorrow immediately activated the second Divine King Grade God talisman. The High God Realm human-headed snake monster that had fled far away noticed that the second Divine King Grade God talisman had been activated, and immediately shouted to remind the other human-headed snake monsters. With its reminder, the human-headed snake monsters began to flee in all directions. Night Sorrow activated this divine talisman, so he only killed a dozen or so human-headed snake monsters. However, after the power of virtue entered his body, Night Sorrow's body suddenly shook. He clearly felt that the power of virtue had successfully advanced to the High God realm. Very good. My power of virtue has advanced to the High God realm, and I don't feel any discomfort. It seems that as long as I use the divine veins to cultivate the immortal divine art of the myriad Tao treasured tome in the Clear Sky Pagoda, I should be able to quickly advance to the high god realm in other aspects. Night Sorrow, who had improved his strength, was in a good mood. Now that he had obtained some origin essence gold from the Horn People Sovereign, his strength was about to enter the high god realm. As long as he left this place, he could challenge Ling Yun and rescue Aunt Fei. The human-headed snake monsters that were shocked by the Divine King Grade God Talisman all fled far away, not giving Night Sorrow a chance to continue attacking. As they fled, Night Sorrow immediately became the master of the surroundings. He directly flew to the location of the tall sacrificial altar. He stretched out his hand to take the pitch-black trident, and let the Samsara Heavenly Halberd absorb it. After about a month's time, the Samsara Heavenly Halberd had completely absorbed the trident, and its grade had officially advanced to the king grade. However, because they were in the small world of the outsiders, the lightning tribulation of the king grade divine artifact did not come. After that, Night Sorrow refined a vermilion fruit on the sacrificial altar into an elixir, and turned it into water to treat the Horn People's injuries. After treating them, Night Sorrow once again kept everyone in the clear sky pagoda. He stepped onto a teleportation formation on the sacrificial altar, and activated it with divine crystals. After the teleportation ended, Yishang appeared in a dazzling hall. At this moment, there were already a few groups of people in this hall. When they saw Night Sorrow appear, they immediately revealed vigilant gazes. Chapter 2654. The aura of the origin essence was very dense and Night Sorrow could sense it very clearly. However, even with the sea serpent eye and the power of his divine soul, he could not determine the location of the origin essence. When one of them saw Night Sorrow appear, he looked at him vigilantly and said coldly, "Everyone here is a top high god of the god realm. Who are you and what is your name?" "Night Sorrow." "Who are you?" Night Sorrow looked up at this person, and found that this person was a male cultivator in white clothes. He had an innate sense of superiority between his eyebrows. Needless to say, he must be from a large family or the ruler's mansion. "Night Sorrow, rank 3rd on the high god list? You are not qualified to ask for my name. If you know what's good for you, scram. You don't have the right to stay here." Chao Hualian, who came to the ruler's mansion, said with disdain. In his opinion, the person ranked 3rd on the high god list was definitely not as strong as Yunzhe, and was no match for him. After all, when Yunzhe saw him, he would unconsciously retreat. "Who do you think you are? You look like a eunuch and you dare to be arrogant? It's not up to you to decide whether I have the right to stay or not." Night Sorrow looked around, and saw that the people present were divided into several smaller groups. Chao Hualian, who was from the ruler's manor, had 3 slightly weaker high gods on his side. Although these high gods were nothing compared to Chao Hualian, who was a hidden genius of the ruler's mansion, they were stronger than Morong Tsai, and could not be underestimated. "Bastard! Even Yunzhe, who is ranked 1st on the high god list, does not dare to talk to me like this. You are courting death." Chao Hualian, who came from the ruler's mansion, had a cold killing intent between his eyebrows. He looked at Night Sorrow as if he was looking at a dead person. Everyone else present was also attracted by Night Sorrow. After they came in, they felt that their strength was about the same, and that they were all safe. Moreover, no one could determine the location of the origin essence, so they got along quite well. "We will know who is courting death after we fight. I also feel that there are too many people here. Not everyone is qualified to stay and search for the essence gold." Night Sorrow's entire body was filled with killing intent as he stared at Chao Hualian from the sovereign's manor. He immediately activated the 33 heavens. He used the 3rd move of the Blue Phoenix soul-splitting roar, Broken Samsara. Although Chao Hualian, who was in the ruler's palace, wasn't seriously injured, the 3 helpers beside him all cried out in pain. After Night Sorrow's karmic energy had reached the high god level, his soul had grown significantly stronger as well. The power of his Azure Rock Soul Hunt roar had increased significantly. "Bastard! You're courting death. How dare you launch a sneak attack? I will kill you immediately." When Chao Hualian saw that Night Sorrow's roar had injured 3 of his subordinates, he immediately flew into a rage. "If you want to kill me, you won't be able to do it with your tongue alone. Show me what you've got. No matter who you are, You don't have the right to show off in front of me. Night Sorrow coldly replied to Chao Hualian. He then swept his gaze over the others and said, if anyone else thinks that I, Night Sorrow, don't have the right to stay here, you can come out and fight. We're all here to search for opportunities, not to be looked down upon by anyone. As Night Sorrow swept his gaze over the crowd, he discovered that quite a few hostile gazes had been directed at him. Most of them withdrew their gazes. Now that Night Sorrow and Chao Hualian were preparing to fight, even if the others were confident in their own strength, they weren't willing to join in and expose their strength. Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Night Sorrow, you'll regret your words in a moment, Chao Hualian coldly said. He then used a secret technique that increased his strength by 7 or 8 times. Then he used a cold scythe in his hand and used an ultimate technique, slashing it at Night Sorrow's neck in an attempt to take his head. This was one of his strongest ultimate techniques, the cold scythe. Chao Hualian had used this move to take the lives of countless opponents of the same level. Now that he used this move, he had an obvious arrogance on his face. He felt that he would definitely kill Night Sorrow in an instant. According to his judgment, his strength was far above Yunzai's, who was first on the upper god list. It would be a piece of cake for him to deal with the third on the upper god list. Weak. You don't have the right to be arrogant with your strength. Facing Chao Hualian's ultimate technique, Night Sorrow didn't feel that his life was in danger. His attack was stronger than Xianyuan Yufeng's, but it was actually on par with Luo Changtian's attack from Luo Changtian's residence. This kind of strength wouldn't have been much of a threat to the Yishang of the past, let alone the Yishang who now had even more trump cards. Hand of Heaven and Earth Splitting. The heavenly Samsara halberd was only one step away from the Divine King's lightning tribulation, to become a king-grade divine artifact. If it was used in front of everyone, it would obviously be a threat to some people. It wouldn't be good if it attracted a group of people to attack it. Night Sorrow directly used the Hand of Heaven and Earth Splitting to grab Chao Hualian's cold scythe. Ignorant child, using your hand to grab my attack. You're really courting death. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't use his divine artifact, but chose to use his hand to use an ultimate technique to grab the terrifying cold scythe, Chao Hualian's face revealed a cruel smile. Very strong. This Night Sorrow has the ability to defeat Yunzai. At this moment, a young man in green who was watching suddenly saw Night Sorrow use the Hand of Heaven and Earth Splitting. His eyes immediately lit up, and his fighting spirit rose. He was Zhen Yidian from the Tianyi family. He was an expert that no one dared to offend. After all, the Tianyi family's name shook the entire realm of the gods. He was recognized as the #1 person in the realm of the gods. Zhen Yidian was the #1 high god that the Tianyi family had worked hard to create. In the hearts of everyone, he was the most advantageous contender for the title of #1 high god in the divine realm. Moreover, Zhen Yidian was indeed bellicose. He had already defeated several experts from the Tianyi family. If there weren't any hidden high god experts in the divine realm, then he should already be invincible in the high god realm. Zhen Yidian, don't judge others and always drag me into it. Not far from Zhen Yidian, a scholarly-looking Yunzai, who was dressed in linen clothes, said with some displeasure. He was ranked first on the divine list. As a result, some high gods who had transcended the standard always used him to judge the strength of others. Moreover, none of these absolute experts were willing to truly challenge him and chase him down from the divine list. Some people displayed very strong strength that made Yunzai feel ashamed of his inferiority. However, he didn't even have the chance to seek defeat. Moreover, his strength was inferior to others, so he didn't dare to provoke them too much. He was afraid that he would be instantly killed by some hot-tempered fellows. As a result, he had always been ranked first on the divine list. This was a position with infinite glory but also infinite awkwardness. Yunzai, don't try to anger me. I won't defeat you and take first place on the divine list. Chapter 2655. At that moment, Night Sorrow and Chao Hualian had already clashed. Night Sorrow, who had just used the Hand of Genesis, would not have his arm cut off or his head cut off as Chao Hualian had expected. On the contrary, his Hand of Genesis was extremely powerful. With one blow, He had deflected the ice scythe and sent a palm strike towards Chao Huilian's spirit ocean. Although he did not shatter Chao Huilian's spirit ocean in one blow, his spiritual soul trembled under the ferocious attack. The power of the Hand of Genesis was not to be underestimated. Night Sorrow, who was bare-handed, had already gained the upper hand. Chao Huilian's expression turned ugly as he felt embarrassed. He could not accept being suppressed by someone who was ranked third on the divine ranking list. Endless Scythe Storm. The enraged Chao Huilian was like a wild beast that had gone berserk. In an instant his body grew several times larger, and he had 3 heads and 6 arms. His 6 hands all held the same sickle, and he used his ultimate skill together. Looks like it's hard to block this move without using the Samsara Heavenly Halberd. Night Sorrow felt a lot of pressure when faced with Chao Huilian's Endless Scythe Storm. The power of this move was definitely much stronger than Shangsu Yuan and Luo Changtian. Although he did not want to expose the Samsara Heavenly Halberd so soon, Night Sorrow felt that other moves would not be able to block this attack. Hence, he took out the newly evolved Samsara Heavenly Halberd from his spatial device and attacked. Night Sorrow did not use any of his moves because he was confident in the Samsara Heavenly Halberd. He felt that there was no need to use the spear technique. Boom, boom, boom. With the help of the Eye of the Sea Serpent, Night Sorrow could see through the traces of Chao Huilian's moves, and used the Samsara Heavenly Halberd to repel them. After 6 consecutive sounds, the scythes in Chao Huilian's 6 hands all shattered and disappeared into the void. Not a single trace was left behind. Not only had the Samsara Heavenly Halberd been upgraded to a king-grade artifact, but the tip of the spear had been strengthened by the Dominator Stone. Its toughness was almost unmatched except for Dominator-grade artifacts. Mine. Hexagonal Demon Scythe. The scythes in his 6 hands were all shattered by Night Sorrow. Chao Huilian let out an extremely unwilling roar. He had spent countless years to create these 6 scythes. This was the only way to connect them with the blood in his 6 palms. At this moment, you're about to lose your life. How can you still care about a few broken sickles? Night Sorrow said disdainfully after seeing Chao Huilian's reaction. From the beginning until the end, he didn't care about Chao Huilian's identity at all, and he completely ignored his origins. After using the Samsara Halberd to shatter the 6-sided demonic scythe, he used the Samsara Halberd to strike again. Just like before, it was an ordinary attack, but its power was just as terrifying. Brother Night Sorrow's strength has improved so much in such a short time, as expected of the person chosen by the ancestors. Jiao Kong, who was in the Clear Sky Pagoda, praised Night Sorrow from the bottom of his heart when he saw how ferocious he was. You don't know, but a few years ago, Night Sorrow was only a feather god. He had participated in the 7-sect tournament of the Divine World's Yunxian continent. Murong Tsai explained inside. In my master's words, there may only be one Night Sorrow in the Divine World, and he may create a magnificent feat that no one has ever done before. Then, do you have any feelings for Brother Night Sorrow? After all, since ancient times, beauties have always loved heroes. Jiao Kong asked with a smile. The falling flowers have feelings for the heartless brook. However, you can't blame Night Sorrow. He already has a few wives who are as beautiful as fairies. There is no room in his heart for anyone else. Murong Tsai sighed faintly. When Night Sorrow was in the Feather God realm, she already had feelings for him. Later, after the 7-sect tournament, she asked the people in the sect to investigate Night Sorrow. In the end, she found that he already had a few wives, so she dispelled some of her thoughts. Actually, it doesn't matter how many wives Brother Night Sorrow has. The important thing is whether there is fate between you two. Jiao Kong sighed and said, if there is fate between you two, no amount of people can stop it. If there is no fate, even if you two are together all the time, there won't be any progress. Perhaps it is like this. However, the current me is completely unable to keep up with the progress of his strength. I don't have the qualifications to be entangled in this matter. Murong Tsai looked at Night Sorrow, who was still suppressing Chao Huilian, and said faintly, Night Sorrow's strength was progressing too fast. It was so fast that people couldn't understand it, which made her feel inferior. I don't know who you are, and I'm not interested in your identity. However, since you have provoked me, you should be prepared to be punished. Night Sorrow, who had completely suppressed Chao Hualian with the Samsara Heavenly Halberd, had basically controlled the situation. When he was suppressing his opponent, he had already planned to defeat him and imprison him in a spatial artifact like Luo Changtian. It was best not to kill some of the people from the dominating clans. Otherwise, it might bring a big trouble to the sect. What I mean is, do you have the qualifications to stand here? Now that you have the qualifications, how about we stop here? When he said this sentence, he had completely admitted defeat. Chao Hualian felt a burning pain on his cheeks. However, he knew that Night Sorrow, who had suppressed him without even using the spear, was not someone he could defeat. Unless he used the extremely taboo move. There was an extraterrestrial demon, which was infinitely close to the Divine King, hidden in his body. If he was fighting with Night Sorrow alone, he would have summoned it long ago. However, at this time, in front of so many geniuses in the god world, he naturally wouldn't do so. You are the one who provoked me. You are the one who attacked first. Now you want to stop? Simple. Surrender, give up resistance, and let me imprison you in my spatial artifact. Night Sorrow, who had activated the Eye of the Sea Serpent, noticed that there was a faintly discernible black aura on Chao Hualian's body during the battle. This dark aura clearly belonged to an extraterrestrial demon. This made him completely wary of Chao Hualian, and he didn't want to let him go at all. Night Sorrow, you are not from the dominating clans, and you are not from an ancient race in the god world. You have no right to be arrogant with me. Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't make a mistake. Otherwise, I will use my trump card to kill you. Chao Hualian was very unhappy that Night Sorrow continued to suppress him, and he had already started to threaten him verbally. However, as a god-level genius who had been specially nurtured by the dominating clans, Chao Hualian did indeed have many trump cards. He had more than a dozen king-level talismans, not to mention the extraterrestrial demon hidden in his body. What abilities do you have? Show them all. I, Night Sorrow, am not afraid of extraterrestrial demons at all. Night Sorrow had spoken about extraterrestrial demons, so he definitely wouldn't let Chao Hualian off. What? Extraterrestrial demons? What are you talking about? Chao Hualian coldly reprimanded him, then continued. I, Chao Hualian, have always been upright. How can you slander me like this? Die. Chapter 2656. Chao Hualian, what are you doing? Are you trying to put everyone in danger by using a king-level talisman in such a small space? Seeing Chao Hualian use the king-level talisman, Cheng Xiao of the Dark Moon Dominator Mansion immediately reprimanded him. Zhen Yedian of the Tianai Dominator Mansion also had a cold gaze. After all, the other party using a king-level talisman in such a small area was a threat to everyone present. He coldly berated, Chao Hualian, if you don't want to die, put away your talisman. Actually, it wasn't just Zhen Yedian and Cheng Xiao who were unhappy. Yun Zhe and some other high gods from ancient families were also on guard. Because in such an environment, if Chao Hualian suddenly threw the king-level talisman at them, it would be completely destructive. The king-level talisman has been activated. There is absolutely no possibility of taking it back. Being reprimanded by the two experts, Chao Hualian's expression turned ugly. He explained, Don't worry, I will only use this king-level talisman to deal with Night Sorrow. You can't wait to silence him after the secret in your body was revealed. Facing Chao Hualian, who had activated the king-level talisman, Night Sorrow had a cold smile on his face. He had the power of merit, and had already started using the sea serpent's eye. He could even sense the aura of an extraterrestrial demon on a cultivator's body. I won't go so far as to silence you, but killing you is a must. Go to hell. Chao Hualian shouted crazily and threw out the fully activated king-level talisman. It's just a king-level talisman. It's not like I haven't faced one before. The expressions of everyone else changed, but Night Sorrow was very calm. He was even considering whether he should use the Samsara Heavenly Halberd to fight and test his true strength. However, after thinking about it, he felt that it was dangerous and high-profile to do so. It might be disadvantageous to the treasure hunt that was about to begin. He directly used the Merit Dragon Locking Array in Chao Hualian's direction. Now that Night Sorrow's power of merit had advanced to the level of a high god, and Chao Hualian had the dark aura of an extraterrestrial demon on his body, he was most afraid of the power of merit. After this move, Chao Hualian, who had just used the king-level talisman, was somewhat stunned. To his dismay, he found that Night Sorrow had sealed him and the exploding king-grade divine talisman in a sealed space. Time was of the essence, so there was no time to use an artifact to break the spirit array. Boom. This thought flashed through Chao Hualian's mind before the divine talisman in his hand exploded. Chao Hualian was not the first person to be bombarded by a king-grade divine talisman in a sealed space, but he was definitely the most miserable. Not only was he blasted into a bloody mess, even more than half of his divine sense had collapsed, and his dantian was severely damaged. No matter what, he would never be able to recover to his peak. The high god nurtured by the sovereign palace had been completely crippled. Extraterrestrial demon, are you still not coming out? After killing Chao Hualian completely, Night Sorrow brandished the heavenly samsara halberd once again. He wanted to force the extraterrestrial demon out of Chao Hualian's body. However, even though Night Sorrow's samsara halberd had completely pierced through Chao Hualian's dantian, the extraterrestrial demon still did not appear. If you don't appear, I will destroy his divine sense. Let's see where you can hide then. The extraterrestrial demon did not appear at all. Night Sorrow shouted as he stabbed at Chao Hualian's divine sense. This Yishang is strong, but why is he so paranoid? Chao Hualian's character is average, but he comes from a sovereign family. Why would he collude with the extraterrestrial demon? If a powerful existence like the Sovereign Palace colluded with the extraterrestrial demon, then the God realm would have been destroyed long ago. Bai Zhe, who was standing not far from Zhen Yedian, asked in confusion when he saw Night Sorrow repeatedly mention the extraterrestrial demon. Wind from an empty cave may not be without cause. Night Sorrow has the power of merit. Perhaps he can see things that we can't sense. Zhen Yedian's brows were slightly solemn. He felt a lot of pressure when it came to Night Sorrow. After a brief assessment, he felt that he did not have absolute confidence in winning. Night Sorrow's cultivation was still at the intermediate high deity level. Zhen Yedian did not dare to think about the consequences if he advanced to the upper high deity level or half-step divine lord level. This was because if one thought about some things too clearly, it would bring about a devastating blow to one's confidence. If there really is an extraterrestrial demon hiding in Chao Hualian's body, then it's really a terrifying matter. Bai Zhe's gaze locked onto Night Sorrow's face. He felt that there was not a trace of malice in his eyes. Ant-like thing. Since you have a death wish, then I shall grant you your wish. Just as the tip of Night Sorrow's samsara halberd was about to pierce Chao Hualian's divine sense, an extremely evil voice immediately sounded from Chao Hualian's divine sense. Then, an extraterrestrial demon that had concealed its true aura emerged from Chao Hualian's divine sense and stood in front of Night Sorrow. Cultivators like us can only enter the ancient Golden Crow realm with the strength of a high deity. An evil spirit like you, who is already a half-step divine king, can still enter. This is really unexpected. This extraterrestrial demon had disguised himself as a human, and his aura had also been carefully concealed. Only Night Sorrow could use the sea serpent's eye and the power of merit to see through his true identity. How can an ant like you judge the methods of the ruler's mansion? The extraterrestrial demon Black Edge, who had been questioned, roared and sent a palm strike toward Night Sorrow. In his opinion, although Night Sorrow's strength was not weak, he would definitely be killed by an attack that was infinitely close to the Divine King's. As long as he could kill Night Sorrow, he would definitely have the ability to shut the mouths of others, and not be completely exposed. How dare an evil spirit like you call me an ant? I will expose you and Chao Hualian in front of everyone. I now suspect that the prestigious ruler's mansion is colluding with the extraterrestrial demon. Night Sorrow roared and used the forbidden reincarnation spear with his samsara halberd. This was the move he had originally wanted to use to block the attack of the king-level talisman. He had absolute confidence in facing a half-step divine king. But Night Sorrow, who had used the forbidden reincarnation spear, found that he had missed. It felt as if he had hit cotton. There was no sense of bombardment at all. At the same time, Black Edge's attack successfully landed on Night Sorrow's body. This move felt like splashing ink. Even Night Sorrow had to admit that this move was very mysterious. But how could Night Sorrow, who had been hit by a palm strike, allow himself to be captured without putting up a fight? He immediately used his power of merit to block it. The power of merit was the nemesis of all evil spirits. It helped relieve a lot of Night Sorrow's pressure. Even so, he was still sent flying by the palm strike. As expected of the extraterrestrial demon that is about to become the Divine King, you do have some tricks up your sleeve, but there are only two outcomes waiting for you: complete exposure and destruction, turning into power of merit. Chapter 2657. Night Sorrow, you slandered the ruler's residence for colluding with the extraterrestrial demon. Today no one will be able to protect you. Go to hell. The well-disguised extraterrestrial demon, Heifeng, roared and attacked Night Sorrow again. This move was similar to a splash ink landscape painting. It looked formless, but it was extremely powerful. The same move is useless. Night Sorrow, who was already prepared, used the sea serpent's eye to observe the loopholes in Heifeng's attack. Then he used the Samsara halberd to attack with the Raging Flame Subduing Demon. The Raging Flame Subduing Demon was a large-scale attack. Although Heifeng's movements were unpredictable, he was still covered by it. Damn it! What kind of flame is this? Heifeng's cold voice sounded when he was burned by the flames of the Samsara halberd. Phaseless Reincarnation Fist. Night Sorrow imitated a similar fist technique based on his opponent's move, and named it the Phaseless Reincarnation Fist. This move was similar to Heifeng's attack. It was to scatter oneself in the air like ink on a piece of paper. At the last moment, it would explode and deliver a fatal blow. This Night Sorrow really has some skills. He can actually comprehend his opponent's move in the middle of a battle. Zhen Yedian of the Tianai ruler's residence immediately said softly, when he saw Night Sorrow use the Phaseless Reincarnation Fist. How is this comprehension ability just having some skills? I think he's completely terrifying. No one is willing to face such an opponent. Yunzhe, who was ranked first on the upper god list, stared at Night Sorrow and revealed a helpless smile. Although he had never fought with Night Sorrow before, he judged that it was impossible for him to suppress his opponent with his own strength. Everyone else present also had surprised expressions. Yishang's performance had surprised them. Heifeng, who was facing Night Sorrow, sneered. It has the form, but not the spirit. Your move is completely ineffective against me. As he roared, he struck out once more to counter the attack, saying that my move is ineffective. This is the most ridiculous thing you've done today. Night Sorrow, who was hiding in the void, roared as he unleashed this move. Furthermore, he had added the power of virtue into the formless reincarnation fist. He did not believe that a fist technique made from the power of merit would be useless against an extraterrestrial demon. In the end, this attack did not explode with an earth-shattering sound. The world seemed to have come to a standstill. However, after the two of them fought together, the golden power of merit and the black power of the heavenly demon burst out immediately. Did you see that? He has the aura of darkness. He's an extraterrestrial demon. After Night Sorrow's power of virtue bombardment, a large portion of the dark aura on Blackpeak's body had been exposed. He warned the others. However, after hearing Night Sorrow's reminder, everyone looked at each other, and no one spoke. All of them looked numb, as if they were looking at something that had nothing to do with them. How can you be so numb when you see an extraterrestrial devil? If the divine realm relies on so-called geniuses like you in the future, I'm afraid you'll be destroyed by the extraterrestrial devil. Seeing that the geniuses of the ruler's residence, including Zhen Yedian, had no intention of attacking after discovering the extraterrestrial devil, Night Sorrow disdainfully said, he's your opponent. What does it have to do with us? After being questioned by Night Sorrow, Yunzhe, who was very jealous of his ability, coldly snorted. Very good. The extraterrestrial devil has nothing to do with you? Do you dare to say this in front of the ruler? Night Sorrow glanced at everyone and said disdainfully. Then he continued to fight with Blackpeak. Brother Zhen Yedian, when we see the extraterrestrial devil appear, do we really not need to kill him? The god-level genius of the dragons, Long Xiangyu, immediately transmitted his voice to Zhen Yedian when he saw the extraterrestrial devil appear. In his opinion, the ruler's residence was the strongest force in the divine realm. He should be the backbone when facing outsiders. Therefore, he transmitted his voice to him. He's Night Sorrow's opponent. What does it have to do with us? Compared to him, I would like to exchange pointers with Night Sorrow. Zhen Yedian replied to Long Xiangyu. In fact, he felt that Black Peak's strength was ridiculously strong. He didn't dare to attack, because he was afraid that he would die here. The other high gods felt the same. They felt that Black Peak's strength was very close to the Divine King's. They were a little afraid. In their hearts, they felt that it was good that Black Peak didn't attack. How would they dare to participate in the battle? Hearing this, Long Xiangyu's face turned ugly. He didn't know what to say. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, don't worry. Not everyone in the divine realm is apathetic. I, Long Xiangyu, will help you. Long Xiangyu, you're from the dragons? Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Long Xiangyu and asked. Yes. I'm from the dragon's empty faction. I'll help you now. Long Xiangyu said and released his divine realm, preparing to participate in the battle. Don't be in a hurry to attack. I still have the ability to fight against this evil spirit. Night Sorrow replied and asked. I want to ask you a question. Senior Long Tianqing, is she from the dragons? Long Tianqing? Hearing this name, Long Xiangyu asked doubtfully. Tianqing, the Divine King, is my grandaunt. She is from the dragons. Night Sorrow, be careful. Long Xiangyu originally wanted to explain Long Tianqing's identity to Night Sorrow. But at this moment he saw the extraterritorial demon Black Peak launching a sneak attack. Therefore he changed his tone and reminded him. It's fine. I'll wait for him. Night Sorrow replied. Obviously, the pressure wasn't as great as he expected. Facing Black Peak's sneak attack, he easily used the virtuous dragon lock formation to bind him temporarily. Black Peak had the ability to tear apart the virtuous dragon lock formation. Therefore, the moment Night Sorrow used the formation, he used the Samsara halberd to use the forbidden Samsara spear. This move was comprehended by Night Sorrow based on the unstoppable thunderbolt, the forbidden spear, and the Samsara spear. Although it was mainly of the Samsara attribute, it also contained the thunder attribute. In addition, Night Sorrow specially added the power of virtue. It was very effective against evil creatures. Night Sorrow, you deserve to die. I'll torture you to death. After being hit by this move, Black Peak immediately let out an evil growl. Black Peak used some kind of secret technique as he growled. The aura around him instantly became several times stronger. At this moment, his dark aura burst out without any concealment. Everyone, this extraterritorial demon has already exposed himself. Are you going to continue watching apathetically? Feeling the evil aura of the extraterritorial demon Black Peak, Long Xiangyu immediately questioned loudly. However, seeing how powerful Black Peak had become and how close he was to the Divine King, Long Xiangyu felt that it was too late. Let's go. There's no suspense in the battle here anymore. Everyone, don't get implicated. Everyone, including Tianai and Jinya Dian from the ruler's manor, led the others and fled into the depths of the main hall. Chapter 2658. Look at how high-spirited the sovereigns are. How did they nurture trash like you? Long Xiangyu cursed in disdain when he saw all these people flee. Then he shouted, Brother Yishang, among the current exalted gods, only you have invincible spirit. I, Long Xiangyu, admire you. Ha ha ha. Brother Long, aren't you the same? Night Sorrow laughed when he saw that there was still one person who hadn't been scared away by Black Peak. To be honest, he was extremely disappointed when he saw Zhen Yedian and the rest flee. In his opinion, the geniuses of the sovereign manor should be the strongest in the heavenly realm. They didn't even have the courage to attack the extraterrestrial demon. This was despicable and an insult to the sovereigns. Hee. Looks like you only have one useless helper. Black Peak laughed evilly when he saw Zhen Yedian and the rest flee. He was very proud of himself for scaring off so many geniuses. I, Night Sorrow, alone is enough to deal with you. I don't need any helpers. Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you're close to the Divine King? You're not the real Divine King, are you? Night Sorrow roared and used the virtuous dragon-locking formation on Black Peak again. This move of yours is completely useless against the current me. Black Peak, who was growing stronger and was about to reach the level of the Divine King, didn't care about the virtuous dragon-locking formation at all. With his current strength, breaking the formation was no problem at all. Boom. However, just as Black Peak was about to break the formation with his strength, a huge explosion came from the virtuous dragon-locking formation. Night Sorrow activated a King-grade talisman under the cover of the virtuous dragon-locking formation's aura. The explosion of the King-grade talisman immediately dealt a heavy blow to Black Peak. You extraterrestrial demons are nothing compared to the methods of the heavenly realm cultivators. So what if you're close to the Divine King? Aren't you still suppressed by me, exalted God? Black Peak was at his strongest, and he could even scare off geniuses like Zhen Yedian. This caused his confidence to soar. Night Sorrow had chosen to activate the King-grade God talisman at this moment. The timing was very good. After severely injuring Qi, Night Sorrow said in disdain. Then he used the heavenly Samsara halberd to launch the forbidden reincarnation spear. Previously, when Black Peak was not seriously injured, he was very wary of the forbidden reincarnation spear, let alone now. Its choice was to flee as soon as possible. It turned into a black mist that filled the sky and was about to dissipate into the void. This move was very similar to the attack it had used in the beginning. Night Sorrow had already dabbled in this. Using the Sea Serpent Dragon's Eye and the power of merit, Xiaochen immediately determined the approximate location and executed the third move of the Azure Rock Soul-Rending Roar, Broken Cycle. This kind of attack was filled with confidence. In fact, it was what evil creatures feared the most. After being roared at by Night Sorrow, Black Peak immediately fell out of the void. Long Xiangyu, come and help us. If you have any tricks, use them on it. Black Peak's figure fell out of the void. Night Sorrow felt that it was no longer a big threat, and immediately transmitted a message to Long Xiangyu. Then he summoned Morong Tsai from the spatial artifact and said, take advantage of its weakness and kill it. Let's attack with all our strength and not give it the slightest chance to breathe. Alright. I will use my strongest skill. Morong Tsai, who came out of the clear sky pagoda, launched an attack full of battle intent. When Long Xiangyu and Morong Tsai attacked Black Peak, Night Sorrow quickly swallowed a few vitality recovery elixirs. The attack he executed just now was too fierce, and he was already somewhat exhausted. Phew. I have recovered. Thank you both for restraining it. Night Sorrow, who had recovered more than half, used the heavenly Samsara halberd to execute the spear art and attacked Black Peak. At this moment, Black Peak was injured by the explosion of the King-grade God talisman and the Azure Rock Soul-Rending Roar. It was already an arrow at the end of its flight. It did not resist for long and was completely killed by Night Sorrow. After Black Peak was killed, it immediately turned into power of virtue and rushed into Night Sorrow's body. Perhaps because he had just absorbed the power of virtue of a real Divine King. Night Sorrow felt that the power of virtue that Black Peak turned into was not particularly strong. It only helped him consolidate his strength as a high god. Brother Yishang, your skills are really amazing. Although you have the help of a king-level divine talisman, to be able to kill an invincible monarch god-level extraterrestrial demon with the cultivation of a middle-level high deity is really peerless. After Black Peak was completely killed, Long Xiangyu immediately praised with a smile. The main reason is that the King-grade Divine King played a big role. It almost directly exploded to death. Night Sorrow humbly expressed and said, now you can continue to talk about Senior Tianqing. Grandaunt Tianqing is the granddaughter of the dragon ancestor. The power of her bloodline is very strong. The outside world thinks that she is ranked on the divine monarch list, and that her cultivation is a divine monarch. In reality, she has already become a divine king. It's just that after becoming a divine king, she has not fought even once. Long Xiangyu's eyes revealed a trace of admiration when he talked about Long Tianqing. So Senior Tianqing is really the divine king. No wonder her methods are heaven-defying and can easily heal the injury to the Dantian. Hearing Long Xiangyu's words, Yishang sighed and nodded. Thinking about how Long Tianqing wanted him to fight Ling Yun, Knight Sorrow felt that it was best for him to continue to become stronger. Therefore he looked at Long Xiangyu and asked, "Brother Long, you arrived here before the two of us. Can you tell us about the situation in this hall? The aura of the origin essence is so strong. What is going on?" "Actually, I have not been here for long. From what they said, it seems that the origin essence might be in the depths of the hall. However, it should not be that easy to obtain because it contains great danger. Otherwise, they would not be discussing things here. They would have attacked long ago." Long Xiangyu began to narrate. Then he asked, "Brother Knight Sorrow, the people of the ruler's manor have otherworldly demons on them. Do you think that the ruler and the otherworldly demons are related?" "Brother Long, don't casually talk about the ruler." When he heard Long Xiangyu's words, Yishang spoke to stop him. There was no concrete evidence that the ruler was related to this matter. He felt that they should not casually talk about it. "All right. I won't talk nonsense. The dignity of the ruler should not be offended. After all, they are the strongest existences in the divine realm." Long Xiangyu sighed. He felt that he was in danger. He had almost caused a disaster. The strongest existences in the divine realm are definitely not them. Knight Sorrow did not agree with Long Xiangyu's words. After saying that, he said, "Brother Long, I will summon a member of the Horn race to help find treasures. I hope that you can keep this matter a secret. Is that all right?" "Yes, of course." Long Xiangyu, who had been thinking about the previous sentence, was immediately attracted by the words Horn race. Knight Sorrow, who had summoned Cao Ling, looked at her and said, "Linger, can you feel anything?" "I can feel that the aura of the origin essence is fake. However, there is another great opportunity here." Chapter 2659. Another great opportunity? Linger, what did you sense? Looking in the direction that Cao Linger was pointing, Knight Sorrow looked at Knight Sorrow with the sea serpent's eye. It was too far away, so he couldn't see anything. The item's grade is beyond the king grade. It's probably a dominator grade item, but I can't sense what it is exactly. Cao Linger said honestly. She had made this judgment based on the aura of the king grade item. A dominator grade item? Long Xiangyu was shocked when he heard this. Although everyone had entered the ancient Golden Crow realm to find opportunities, no one would have thought that they would encounter a dominator grade opportunity. "I'm not sure if it's a dominator grade item. I only know that it's definitely above the king grade." Cao Linger said uncertainly. Dominator grade items are hard to come by. Even the dominators of the god realm can't get their hands on them easily. Maybe it's between the king grade and the dominator grade? Long Xiangyu said with a smile. "No, definitely not. I think it's either a dominator grade item or a supreme grade item." Cao Linger retorted and continued. "Linger's senses can't be wrong. Linger, I trust you. Lead the way." Knight Sorrow nodded with a smile and said, "I'll protect you along the way. Don't be afraid." "Okay. I'll lead the way for Big Brother Knight Sorrow. But isn't it inconvenient for us to bring an outsider like him?" Cao Linger pointed at Long Xiangyu and said faintly. Jiao Kong had transmitted these words to her, telling her to ask Yishan. "It's fine. Brother Long isn't an evil person. We can travel together." Knight Sorrow smiled at Long Xiangyu and said, "Brother Long, although we're friends, we'll rely on our own abilities when we encounter a dominator grade or supreme grade item. You don't have any objections, right?" "Brother Yishang, you're looking down on me." Long Xiangyu. "The opportunity was discovered by little sister Linger. How can I snatch it from you?" Long Xiangyu retorted and looked at Cao Linger. "Little sister, don't worry. Today, I'm just here to make friends with Brother Knight Sorrow." "Oh, then I'm relieved." Jiao Linger nodded, almost tripping over the horns on her head. Murong Kai quickly supported him and said with a smile, "I feel that the horn on your head is very heavy." "That's right. It's much heavier than my body," Jiao Linger muttered. "Linger, if I get good things, I will give priority to the horn people. I won't let you work in vain. Let's go." Yi Shang smiled and let Jiao Linger lead the way. Under Cao Linger's guidance, Night Sorrow brought Morongkai and Long Xiangyu to the depths of the palace. After flying for about 3 days, they didn't see Zhenyi Dian and the others. How can this palace be so majestic? We've been flying for so long and we still can't see the end. Long Xiangyu couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the palace. It was almost as high as the sky and they couldn't see the end. It's really majestic. Although I'm in the divine world, I've never seen such a majestic palace. Morongkai nodded. The palace's floor was paved with jade, and it was all flat. However, they couldn't see the end. I seem to have lost my way. At this time, Cao Linger, who hadn't spoken for a while, frowned. Even she couldn't tell the location of the opportunity. I think this palace doesn't occupy a large area. Instead, it contains a formation. If there's no accident, we'll never reach the end if we keep flying. Night Sorrow, who had opened the eye of the sea serpent, carefully observed the surroundings. However, he couldn't see the existence of any formation. Judging the formation of this place was definitely beyond his own understanding. He took out some formation books from his spatial artifact and flipped through them. However, after reading for a while, he still couldn't find the answer he wanted. Brother Night Sorrow is right. We're probably in a formation. That's why there's a problem with my perception. Cao Linger couldn't tell the direction and made the same judgment. Yes. It seems that we're really in a formation. Flying aimlessly like this isn't a solution. Let's think about what to do. We definitely can't break the formation. We can only think of a shortcut. The items that Cao Linger sensed were either at the sovereign or supreme level. Night Sorrow felt that the formation should also be at the sovereign or supreme level. The few of them didn't have the ability to see through it. They could only diverge their thoughts and take an unconventional approach. If we're going to think of a way, the first thing we have to do is figure out the mentality of the person who set up the formation. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Long Xiangyu frowned and pondered for a while. However, it's really difficult to figure out the other party's mentality. I do have some ideas. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, I think there are 2 possibilities for now. What possibilities? Brother Night Sorrow, just say it. Long Xiangyu urged. Senior, let the aura of the treasure leak out. One possibility is that this senior used the aura of the treasure to lure the latecomers into the formation and trap them to death. The other possibility is that the senior didn't want the treasure to be covered in dust and disappear forever in the long river of history. Then he didn't want it to be taken away so easily. Therefore, he designed a formation to test the latecomers. Yi Shan, who was observing his surroundings, spoke with a clear mind. After listening to your analysis, it does seem to make sense. I only hope that the senior we met wasn't of the first type. Long Xiangyu sighed. If the person who created this palace was of the first type, as Night Sorrow said, then they would probably never be able to get out. I think the second possibility is more likely. After all, a sovereign-level senior didn't need to make things difficult for us latecomers. Morongkai also expressed her opinion. Night Sorrow nodded and said, in any case, we should think in a positive direction. If we really can't find any pattern, I will keep flying forward and show my patience. That's the only way. Morongkai nodded in agreement. She felt that it wasn't easy for Night Sorrow to speculate so much in this situation. Moreover, after thinking about it carefully, she felt that this speculation was very reasonable. Subsequently, the 4 of them pondered about the countermeasures on the flat palace. After studying for a few days, they almost thoroughly checked the dust around them, but didn't find any clues. Long Xiangyu suddenly said, why don't we try to attack the ground? What do you think? I think this is the only way. Let's try it. Night Sorrow also considered this possibility and nodded. The test of this great hall was very different from that of ordinary cavern dwellings or mystic realms. Chapter 2660. Then I'll do it now. After getting Night Sorrow's approval, Long Xiangyu immediately took out a trident divine weapon and smashed it on the jade-like ground. Boom. After the trident made contact with the ground, the scene in front of everyone immediately changed. They appeared in a world with flowers and water. This world, like the ancient Golden Crow world, also had 3 suns. It looked like it was built to imitate it. Is this an opportunity? When everyone appeared here, they were all stunned. However, after a moment, Morongtsai asked doubtfully. Although this world was very similar to the ancient Golden Crow world, there was no divine spiritual chi at all. It gave people an extremely barren feeling, and did not look like there were treasures at all. Moreover, the space here was not very big. With the power of the divine soul, they could cover the entire range. There doesn't seem to be the aura of heaven and earth treasures here. Cowling carefully sensed and then shook her head in disappointment. Hearing this, Long Xiangyu sighed and said, "Alas! At first, I thought that we were lucky to appear in other worlds. I didn't expect it to be like this. It's better to go back to where we were just now." Don't be excited. This should be an illusion formation. As long as we break it, there should be new discoveries. Night Sorrow, who had opened the eye of the sea serpent, saw some loopholes in the world in front of him, and the location of the formation eye. After studying for a while, he successfully broke the formation in front of him. The formation collapsed with a bang. This world did not change much, but a box appeared in front of everyone. It seems to be the reward for breaking the formation? Long Xiangyu immediately said doubtfully when he saw that a box appeared after Night Sorrow successfully broke the formation. There is indeed the aura of heaven and earth treasures inside, but it is at the divine monarch level. Cowling who sensed it immediately said. They opened the box and there was a divine monarch elixir inside. After Yishang opened the box and took out the pills, they were immediately teleported to the large hall they had been in earlier. After such a struggle, I seem to understand something. After appearing in the hall, Night Sorrow immediately took out the Samsara halberd and smashed it on another piece of ground nearby. Boom. Just like before, they appeared in a small world again. This time, after breaking the array, they obtained another Divine Lord level medicinal pill. It seems that every time I attack an area, I will appear in a different world. Let's continue. After discovering this feature of the hall, Night Sorrow and the others began to continuously try. In about 3 years, they had continuously broken through more than 40 small worlds. Although each of these minor worlds was more difficult than the last, Night Sorrow still succeeded and obtained 2 king-grade divine artifacts. Such a harvest was enough to satisfy everyone. However, after the heavenly Samsara halberd struck the ground again, everyone appeared in a palace that was almost identical to the main hall. At this moment, many people had gathered in the palace. It was clear that this time, they did not enter a single sealed space. "Brother Yi, you're here too. Did you successfully kill that opponent of yours?" One of the Kuanping race's great gods said when he saw Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow and Black Peak were fighting, he had been watching from the side. Due to the other party's power, he did not dare to make a move. When they saw Night Sorrow, Zhen Yedian of the Tianai Dominator Manor, Cheng Xiao of the Dark Moon Dominator Manor, and Yun Zhe, who was ranked first on the Great Gods list, all looked over. They did not expect Night Sorrow to be able to escape unscathed when facing an extraterrestrial demon that was close to the strength of the Divine King. This was something that no one present could do. Therefore, they were afraid of Night Sorrow's appearance. "You are." Night Sorrow had been very focused during the battle, and did not pay attention to the other party. "I am Kuan Tao of the Kuanping race. Brother Yi is strong and I admire you." Kuan Tao cupped his fists at Night Sorrow and said respectfully, "Oh, nice to meet you." Night Sorrow responded, and did not mention the matter of killing the extraterrestrial demon. He knew that the other party was trying to get information out of him. "Brother Night Sorrow, there is the aura of a dominator item here, and it is very strong." At this moment, Cao Ling who was following beside Night Sorrow, suddenly transmitted her voice. "Oh, are you sure? Where is it?" Hearing this, Night Sorrow's gaze immediately turned sharp. "I can't sense the exact location, but the aura is very strong." Cao Ling said faintly, "I can't sense it. It should be the same as the small worlds we broke open. It might be placed in the reward treasure chest." Having stayed in this area for several years, Night Sorrow already had a certain understanding of this place and spoke his judgment. At this moment he looked at Kuan Tao and said, "Brother Kuan Tao, what's the situation here?" "Hey, what else can there be? Everyone is trapped here, and can't get out." Before Kuan Tao could say anything, Yunzhe sighed. Standing not far away, Zhen Yidian, Cheng Xiao and the others from the Dark Moon Dominator's mansion also had ugly expressions. That day, Night Sorrow and the extraterrestrial demon Heifeng fought fiercely. They had fled all the way and did not expect to appear in this extremely small world. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed and no one had found a way out. We can't get out. What's the situation? Tell me in detail. Night Sorrow looked at Yunzhe and asked. This sealed small world is probably a very high-level illusion array. No one here can break it. If we can't break it open, then wouldn't we have to stay here forever? Yunzhe, who was ranked first on the god list, had a trace of hostility between his brows. After being trapped for so long, he was in a very restless mood. That's right. We've already used all our methods, but we haven't been able to break the array. I wonder if Brother Yi has the ability to break the array? If Night Sorrow succeeds in breaking the array, my Tianyi Dominator's mansion will remember this favor. Zhen Yidian, who was also in a bad mood, also spoke. Cheng Xiao, who had been silent all this time, also looked at Night Sorrow and said softly, The Dark Moon Dominator's mansion will not treat Brother Yi unfairly. In fact, we are all proud sons of heaven from various large factions or races. Every time you save one of us, you will obtain a great opportunity. The Kuanping clan will be the same. Kuan Tao echoed. Other than that, everyone else present also opened their mouths and prayed for Night Sorrow's help. Seeing that everyone was praying for Night Sorrow, Long Xiangyu muttered disdainfully. When Night Sorrow was fighting with the extraterrestrial demon, he needed all of you, but all of you ran away. Now you're begging him to save you. Isn't this a little too shameless? Hee. It was our fault for running away just now. However, everyone's strength is limited. We are not as brave as Brother Yi. If we were to bite the bullet and participate, it would be no different from courting death. However, the white-clothed Yunzhe explained with a smile. Chapter 2661. Yunzhe knew that Night Sorrow was the virtuous feather god. His self-restraint and bearing were not something an ordinary person could compare to. It's not impossible to save you, but if an opportunity appears after breaking the formation, I hope that you will give it up. Night Sorrow glanced at everyone and said, If you can agree to this request, I will think of a way to break the formation. Cowling had already said that there was an item with the aura of a ruler inside. If everyone gave up on fighting for it, it would save them a lot of effort. All right. Although we've retreated once, we're not shameless people. Since Brother Yi has said so, I, Zhen Yidian, will agree on behalf of everyone. Zhen Yidian of the Tianyi Dominator's manor said this before looking at everyone and saying, Can I represent all of you? Represent. Yunzhe and the others immediately replied. They had been trapped here for more than 3 years. If Night Sorrow did not appear, this time might have been extended to several reincarnations or even eternity. This was something that no one wanted to face. At this moment, even if Night Sorrow asked them to hand over all their wealth, most of them would agree. However, Night Sorrow was clearly not that kind of person. After thinking for a moment, he said, Since that's the case, I agree to break the formation. However, in the process of breaking the formation, I need all of you to cooperate with me. You don't need me to tell you that the illusion formation in front of you is very difficult to break. Of course. We will all provide the necessary resources for Brother Yi. Zhen Yidian said straightforwardly. Brother Night Sorrow, they are all despicable people. Be careful. It's best if they swear an oath to the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, when a treasure chest appears, they will definitely betray us. Long Xiangyu looked at Zhen Yidian and the others with a gaze that was filled with vigilance. I know what you're saying, but there's no need for them to swear an oath to the heavenly Tao. Night Sorrow said with a smile as he looked at everyone. At this moment, he saw Shang Su Yuan and Zhu Qing in an inconspicuous corner. At this moment, the two of them no longer had the arrogance from that day. Their gazes were intentionally avoiding Night Sorrow. These two arrogant young masters made Night Sorrow understand that no matter how brilliant he gem and clear sound was, it was still possible for scum to appear in her clan. Thus, even though Zhen Yidian came from the Tianyi clan, he was still on his guard. After observing the formation with the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow said, "The level of this illusion formation should be Divine King level. With my cultivation, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult to break it." "What? Divine King level? What should we do?" Upon hearing the words Divine King level, the expressions of Zhen Yedian and the others immediately changed. Generally speaking, a Divine King level illusory formation could not be broken by brute force, even if it was bombarded with a king level talisman. To the high gods, this was an unreachable existence. It's not that there's no way. With my current cultivation, I can't break it. However, if I have a large amount of resources to raise my cultivation and advance to the high god level, there should be a slim chance. If I can advance to the half-step Divine Lord level, then I have full confidence that I can break the formation. Night Sorrow said with a cold expression. These people had already betrayed him once. Although he cultivated the power of merit and had the kindness to save people, he could not act so easily. This Yishang was clearly raising the price on the spot. Now that we don't even know if he has the ability to break the formation, we have to provide him with cultivation resources? Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yunzhe immediately sent a voice transmission to Zhen Yedian. Zhen Yedian said, "He can defeat a half-step Divine King with the strength of a mid-level high god. Perhaps he can break the formation when he advances to the high god level. However, if he cultivates to the high god level, his strength will probably be beyond our reach. I'm not worried about his strength increasing. I'm just afraid that if we give him the resources, he won't be able to break the illusion formation. If that's the case, we won't have any cultivation resources in this small world in the future. We'll be completely trapped in a situation where we can only wait for death," Yunzhe said with some displeasure. Although Night Sorrow was very strong, he had not displayed any ability to break the formation. He was still very suspicious. If he takes the things and is unable to break the formation, we'll just attack him together. With so many experts here, how can we be afraid of him alone? Zhen Yedian sneered and sent a voice transmission to Yunzhe. Everyone was rather fearful of Night Sorrow's strength. After all, he had survived at the hands of a half-step Divine King level extraterrestrial demon. Moreover, none of the people around him were injured. This was an ability that none of them possessed. That's true. Not to mention his strength, who would have the courage to offend all the ruler's residences. Now that he has already killed Chao Hualian of the ruler's residence, if he offends us, then there will be no place for him in the divine realm. When Yunzhe thought of this, he felt a little better. That's right. I'll communicate with the others. Zhen Yedian replied to Yunzhe, and sent a voice transmission to Cheng Xiao and the others of the Dark Moon ruler's residence. Under his persuasion, everyone, including Shangsu Yuan of the ruler's residence, took out all kinds of cultivation resources to let Night Sorrow take the lead in breaking through. Thank you, everyone. I'll take the things in front of me and enter the spatial artifact to cultivate. When I advance to the upper deity level, I'll reappear and break the formation. Looking at the cultivation resources that everyone had contributed, Night Sorrow revealed a trace of a smile at the corner of his mouth. These people were indeed the key nurturing targets of various large factions, families and races. The quality of the resources on them was extremely high. After instructing them, Night Sorrow, who had collected all the resources, entered the Clear Sky Pagoda to cultivate. For safety reasons, Murong Tsai and Cao Ling were also kept in the pagoda. Long Xiangyu, on the other hand, was outside to protect him. He was guarding against the others in order to prevent anyone from making a move. Now that the Clear Sky Pagoda has the support of a King-grade Divine Pulse and 100-fold acceleration, you can take the opportunity to cultivate, Night Sorrow said to Murong Tsai and Cao Ling. Then found a deserted area to cultivate the immortal divine technique of the Myriad Tao treasured tome. As for the others of the Horn clan, they were completely immersed in cultivation. After all, Night Sorrow had said that those who had not become divine lords were not qualified to go to the eternal supreme world. With 100-fold acceleration and a king-grade divine pulse, they had made great progress. As for Night Sorrow, his power of virtue had already broken through to the upper deity level. He crazily absorbed the energy of a king-grade divine pulse, and the cultivation resources contributed by many geniuses. In about 100 years in the spatial artifact, he had successfully advanced to the upper deity level in all aspects. When Night Sorrow walked out of the clear sky pagoda, the god-destroying tribulation immediately came. The small tribulation of advancement was not difficult for Night Sorrow at all. He easily passed through it. Brother Night Sorrow, you have successfully advanced from the middle deity level to the upper deity level in just a year. How many times faster is your spatial artifact? Chapter 2662. Spatial artifacts of the time attribute were extremely rare in the entire divine world. Now that Night Sorrow had displayed a spatial artifact of the time attribute, Zhen Yedian was a little surprised by his accumulation. After all, everyone present knew that Night Sorrow came from Tianyan school and did not have a powerful backer. The reason why I broke through so quickly is that my power of merit has already broken through to the superior god level. Therefore, the improvement of my cultivation, body and soul is also a matter of course. It has nothing to do with the discovery of space. Night Sorrow did not say how many times the spatial artifact could increase speed. Although these so-called geniuses in front of him were no longer a threat to him, the factions behind them were different. If they heard that Night Sorrow had a spatial artifact that could increase speed by 100 times, some of the Divine King might be jealous and snatch it. So that's how it is. Zhen Yedian smiled. He did not believe Night Sorrow's explanation. However, he did not dare to say too much, afraid that he would make Night Sorrow unhappy. He asked, Brother Yi, now that your strength has increased, can you try to break the formation? Since I, Night Sorrow, have received benefits from everyone, I will naturally do my best to break the formation. Night Sorrow nodded and opened the sea serpent's eye to observe the composition of this illusion formation. With the increase in strength, Night Sorrow's sea serpent's eye evolved again. He could now see the layout of a Divine King level formation with some difficulty. With the support of the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow flipped through some of the formation books that he had recently obtained. In the end, he confirmed that the Divine King level formation in front of him was called the Phaseless Small World. After confirming this, Night Sorrow did not hide anything and explained to everyone. The trap formation in front of us is called the Phaseless Small World. For the time being, I don't have the confidence to break the formation, but if I study it carefully for a period of time, there should be a chance to break out. Everyone don't worry. Brother Yi is indeed a genius. Not only is his strength extraordinary, but he is also proficient in formations. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Cheng Xiao of the Dark Moon Ruler's manor praised him and continued. Why don't I introduce Brother Yi to the Dark Moon Ruler? The ruler of the Dark Moon loved to promote talents. The former Heartless Divine King was originally just an ordinary Divine Lord, but after joining the Dark Moon Hegemon, his power skyrocketed to the level of a Divine King. Supposedly, he is already showing signs of breaking through to the Hegemon level. For now, I'm doing well in Tianyan school. I have no intention of joining any forces. The ruler of the Dark Moon and the Heartless Divine King were both people that Night Sorrow loathed. How could he possibly choose to join them? After rejecting Cheng Xiao's words, Night Sorrow once again studied the non-phase small world that trapped everyone. After about a month, Night Sorrow's thoughts gradually became clear. He looked at the crowd and said, If you want to break this formation, you need some materials. I have more than half of them, but I'm still missing a few essential materials. Everyone, think of a way to get them. You want things again? Aren't you trying to cheat us of our resources? Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, some of the geniuses present began to whisper amongst themselves. They were all geniuses that had been carefully nurtured by their own forces. Some of them had been spoiled to the point of insanity. Shang Shiyuan was one of them, but he was still relatively well-behaved and subconsciously avoided Night Sorrow. Who says I'm trying to cheat you of your resources? Do you want to break free quickly? Or do you want to stay in the non-phase small world forever and live with your resources? Do you think I, Night Sorrow, care about your resources? Yi Shang was very displeased that everyone was still doubting him under such circumstances. He didn't have any tricks up his sleeve, and he disdained using such methods to plunder resources. At present, Resources below the level of the Divine King were trashed to him. Brother Yi, don't be agitated. There are some people present who don't have the same tolerance and breadth of mind as Brother Yi. It's understandable that they would say something unpleasant. As the Merit High God, don't lower yourself to their level. The strongest person present, Zhen Yedian, immediately came out to smooth things over. His future was very bright. As long as he could leave this non-phase small world, he was willing to pay any amount of resources. Brother Zhen Yedian is right. Brother Yi, don't let a few villains affect your mood. I, Cheng Xiao, will also fully cooperate with you. Cheng Xiao of the Dark Moon Sovereign Mansion was also a rich and overbearing person. She immediately took out a large amount of resources from her spatial artifact. She said, choose what you need. If we cooperate, we should have mutual trust. To put it bluntly, I, Night Sorrow, don't even care about the things in your hands. Night Sorrow took the resources that Zhen Yedian and Cheng Xiao took out, and looked at some of the people present with disdain. At this time, Yunzhe, Shang Su Yuan and the others, who were also rich, also took out their resources without saying a word and let Night Sorrow choose. Shang Su Yuan looked at Night Sorrow with a somewhat apprehensive gaze. For the sake of Ruler Qingyin, I won't argue with you. We'll write off what happened last time. But remember, in the future, you have to keep a low profile. Because without Ruler Qingyin, the current you might be nothing. Seeing Shang Su Yuan's performance, Night Sorrow said, yes, Brother Yi is right. I, Shang Su Yuan, am too arrogant. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. What Yi Shang had displayed had completely subdued Shang Shi Yuan. Hence, Shang Shi Yuan admitted defeat. Then he stood behind Yi Shan, which meant that he had joined Yi Shan's camp. Zhu Qing, who was originally a little embarrassed, hesitated for a moment before walking over and apologizing. Brother Yi, Zhu Qing was too inappropriate and offended Brother Yi. I hope you don't mind. Ruler Qingyin saved my life. I won't be too calculative with her people. Let's write off the matter between us. Night Sorrow looked at Zhu Qing and said, although it was impossible for Shang Su Yuan and Zhu Qing's personalities to change drastically in an instant, Night Sorrow could tell that they were sincerely convinced by him. So he didn't lower himself to their level. Like a servile servant. Seeing Shang Su Yuan and Zhu Qing standing behind Night Sorrow, Yunzhe immediately sent a voice transmission to Zhen Yedian unhappily. Hee. Isn't it the law of survival in the God realm to rely on the strong? What's there to be embarrassed about? Zhen Yedian said indifferently. Alright. Your bearing is extraordinary. It's my Yunzhe's lack of vision. Hearing Zhen Yedian's words, Yunzhe replied disdainfully. At the same time, Night Sorrow used the resources in his hands to officially start breaking the formation. Now that he had already studied the phaseless small world and gathered the materials, breaking the formation was a piece of cake. Not long after, with a loud bang, the world in front of him completely changed. The illusion formation that trapped everyone was broken, and a brand new world appeared in front of them. This was a mountain peak with dense forests. In the air above the mountain peak, a huge golden treasure chest floated. The aura of the treasure chest contained the aura of a dominator. Inside was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. Other than Night Sorrow, who was mentally prepared, everyone was so shocked that they couldn't close their mouths. Chapter 2663. A Dominator-grade item was definitely a supreme treasure in the current God realm. The appearance of the golden treasure chest caused an uproar. Many people started to discuss it, and countless people transmitted their voices. They were all trying to figure out what to do. After all, they had already promised Night Sorrow that they wouldn't fight for the treasure that appeared after breaking the array. Zhen Yedian, what are you planning to do? Yunzhe, who was ranked first on the God list, immediately transmitted his voice to Zhen Yedian. In his eyes, Zhen Yedian was the wind vane. As long as Zhen Yedian appeared to fight for the treasure, he would have a chance to fish in troubled waters. Although we promised Night Sorrow, we didn't make a heavenly oath. This is his most important item. No matter what, I won't give up a Dominator-grade item. Zhen Yedian's tone carried a trace of excitement. Actually, this was understandable. For a high god cultivator to encounter a Dominator-grade opportunity, This was something that could only be encountered by chance. Shang Su Yuan and Zhu Qing, who were originally standing on Night Sorrow's side, also started to discuss. The two of them were clearly interested in the golden treasure chest. After all, Dominator-grade items were not only useful, but they could also be used to participate in Dominator-grade comprehension. It would be greatly beneficial for their future cultivation. After studying it for a while, Shang Su Yuan said, "If it was a Divine King-grade treasure, I would choose to give it up. However, if I give up a Dominator-grade treasure like this, I'm afraid my Dao heart will be uneasy. If anyone makes a move later, we will fight for it." His voice was trembling. Clearly, he was excited because of the Dominator-grade item. In fact, Zhu Qing was in a similar state. She replied, "If we obtain the Dominator-grade item in the golden treasure chest, we will have a chance to break through to the Dominator realm in the future. We definitely can't give it up. Even if it's disgraceful to betray him. Those who want to achieve great things don't care about trifles." The other expert present, Dark Moon Dominator Residence's Cheng Xiao, also started to transmit her voice, looking for a target to form an alliance with. She knew that Night Sorrow was very strong now. Even she probably wasn't his match. Hehe. Everyone, what do you mean by this? From your expressions, you want to fight for it? Night Sorrow saw everyone's expressions and asked with a smile. A Dominator rank item might not appear even once in 10 reincarnations. I, Zhen Yedian, don't want to give it up. I hope Brother Yi can understand. Zhen Yedian of the Tianai Sovereign Manor didn't reveal any greed on his face, but his words made his attitude clear. Shang Su Yuan and Zhu Qing walked out from behind Night Sorrow and said, "The two of us have the same attitude. Even if we have to risk our lives, we have to fight for a Dominator rank opportunity. How can we give it up so easily? Ha ha. Could it be that you've all forgotten the agreement we made before breaking the formation? Without me breaking the formation, all of you will be trapped here forever. How will you have the chance to talk about the heavens and earth?" Without waiting for the others to speak, Yishan asked with a laugh. Seeing Night Sorrow's expression, Yunzhe said with a faint smile, "Night Sorrow, we didn't swear an oath to the heavenly Tao. Why can't we participate in the snatching? You can only blame yourself for being inexperienced and not letting us swear." "Good. Very good. Do the rest of you have the same intention?" Night Sorrow swept his sharp gaze across everyone present. Other than Night Sorrow, Murong Tsai, and Long Xiangyu, there were more than 30 other high gods. Each of these high gods had the strength of the god list. Among them, Zhen Yedian, Cheng Xiao, Shang Su Yuan, and Zhu Qing all had the strength to challenge the number one person on the god list, Yunzhe. They were indeed not to be underestimated. "Brother Yi, we are grateful that you saved everyone. However, we have already paid enough for that matter. After all, the resources for you to advance to the upper god rank and the materials to break the formation were all gathered by us," Kuan Tao of the Kuan-Peng clan said, feeling good about himself. At this time, Cheng Xiao said coldly, "Night Sorrow, the item that appeared now is definitely Dominator rank. It's not something you can swallow alone. It's impossible for you to take it for yourself. Even if you can get it now, you will have to spit it out when you return to the God realm. Which one of you here doesn't have a backer stronger than you? This is reality. You must bow your head. Do you think you are qualified to make me, Night Sorrow, bow my head?" Hearing Cheng Xiao's words, Night Sorrow sneered and retorted, "Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. I know that you are very strong, but there are so many people here. It's impossible for you to dominate." Regarding the matter of Yishang facing off against a half-step God King level otherworldly demon, Cheng Xia was still very fearful in her heart. Her words were like a ticking time bomb that detonated everyone present. The people who were originally very afraid of Night Sorrow's strength felt as if a window had been opened in their hearts. If you can't beat him alone, you can choose to form an alliance. Many people began to ponder this matter in their hearts and began to communicate. At this time, Zhen Yedian said, "Brother Yi, after all, you broke the illusion formation and saved me. Out of respect for you, I, Zhen Yedian, challenge you. If I win, you will withdraw from the fight for the golden treasure chest. What do you think? If you want to fight, Then let's fight. But if you choose to fight, then you will become my mortal enemy. Think carefully. Knight Sorrow knew that everyone was greedy and scolded them. If Zhen Yedian is inferior and loses to Brother Yi, then it is also a matter of fate. Zhen Yedian glanced at the golden treasure chest floating in the distance. The attraction of a dominator-grade item made him completely forget about etiquette. In fact, it wasn't just him. Apart from Murong Xai and Long Xiangyu, everyone else wanted to fight for it. In front of such a precious treasure, no one could remain calm. Relatively speaking, Knight Sorrow was the calmest person present. He accepted the challenge and said, "Since Zhen Yedian wants to fight, I will accompany you. However, I still want to remind you that swords have no eyes. Don't be blinded by greed." "I have made up my mind. Brother Yi, don't try to persuade me anymore." Zhen Yedian's face revealed a cruel sneer. As he spoke, he used a secret technique unique to ruler Tianya's manner, which increased his strength by several times. He threw a simple punch at Knight Sorrow. This punch gave off a feeling of returning to one's natural state. This was a technique created by ruler Tianai in the high deity realm. It was called the Supreme Simplicity Divine Fist. The technique looked very ordinary, but the power it erupted with was very terrifying. Forbidden Reincarnation Fist. Even Yishang couldn't help but inwardly praise this move. He then used an ultimate technique to fight back. "Knight Sorrow, you are using a fist technique to fight against a technique created by Lord Ruler. Aren't you a bit too confident?" Zhen Yedian felt that Knight Sorrow was using a fist technique to fight back. "Is that so? It just so happens that my fist technique was also created by myself. Then let's see if Ruler Tianya's fist technique is stronger, or if Knight Sorrow's fist technique is stronger." Knight Sorrow didn't feel any fear because of ruler Tianai. Chapter 2664. At the same time, Knight Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye and observed the supreme divine fist, trying to analyze its extraordinariness. "How dare you say that you're comparable to a ruler? Knight Sorrow, oh Knight Sorrow, although you're very strong, you're too arrogant." Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Zhen Yedian scolded him with disdain. In his opinion, ruler Tian Yi was the #1 person in the God realm, and needed everyone to look up to him. Not only arrogant but also laughable. Yunzhe, who was standing not far away, also mocked. He felt that Knight Sorrow was overestimating himself by comparing himself to ruler Tian Yi. If you don't even have the courage to face a ruler's ultimate technique, how can you have the determination and courage to break through to the ruler realm in the future? In my opinion, Knight Sorrow, no matter how far my predecessors have gone, they are not unsurpassable existences. In the face of Zhen Yedian and Yunzhe's doubts, Knight Sorrow replied domineeringly. At this moment, the attacks of the two sides officially collided. Zhen Yedian was very confident in his fist technique, because it was created by ruler Tian Yi when he was at the High God realm. However, after the collision, his expression changed drastically. That was because Yi Shang's forbidden reincarnation fist was too terrifying. It had immediately sent him flying, and it had even caused several cracks to appear on his arm. If it weren't for his defensive robes, it was very likely that his arm would have been shattered. What? So strong? Even Zhen Yedian is no match for him? Seeing Zhen Yedian being sent flying by a single punch and spitting out a mouthful of blood as he flew, Cheng Xiao's face immediately turned ugly. In her opinion, Zhen Yedian's strength was above hers. Now that Zhen Yedian had been sent flying by Knight Sorrow with a single move, it was a serious blow to her confidence. After Zhen Yedian, who had been sent flying far away, stabilized his mind, the humiliation ignited the anger in his heart. He took out 2 healing pills and swallowed them. Then he took out a mountain-shaped secret treasure from his spatial artifact. He said loudly, "Brother Yi is very strong. I, Zhen Yedian, am convinced. However, I will be using secret treasures, divine artifacts, and my most powerful techniques. Be careful." After saying this, Zhen Yedian immediately activated the mountain-shaped artifact and let it fly into the air. Enveloped by the mountain-shaped artifact's divine domain, Knight Sorrow felt as if he had fallen into a swamp, his movements greatly restricted. So it turns out that he has many tricks up his sleeve. No wonder he dares to make a move despite knowing that he is no match for me. Facing the artifact that Zhen Yidian threw out, Yishang muttered in his heart. Up until now, he'd only wanted to test out his true strength as a high god by sparring. At this time, Zhen Yidian took out a pair of massive silver warhammers from his spatial artifact and struck out with his ultimate skill. This move was called the Heaven-Destroying Meteor Hammer. Originally, there was only a pair of huge warhammers, but after they were thrown out, they seemed to have turned into a meteor shower that filled the sky, continuously smashing towards Night Sorrow. Regardless of whether it was the might or the degree of strength, it was extremely shocking. Amazing! This is Brother Zhen Ye's famous technique. Back then he had just advanced to High God and used this move to defeat 3 High Gods. After witnessing Zhen Yidian's move, Yunzhe, who knew him very well, immediately shouted loudly, "Its power is indeed not bad, but against me, this move is no different from a chicken rib." This move looked extremely gorgeous. There were at least 1,000,000 meteors that smashed down from the sky. However, Night Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's Eye, only had 2 heavy hammers suddenly smashed down. Forbidden Spear. Facing this move, Night Sorrow didn't directly use the Forbidden Reincarnation Spear. Instead, he simply struck out. He felt that just this move alone was enough to block his opponent's attack. The result was the same. Zhen Yidian's famous ultimate skill had been easily broken. Isn't Yishang's strength a little too strong? Seeing that Night Sorrow had easily blocked Zhen Yidian's famous technique, the gazes of everyone present turned serious. They could all see that Night Sorrow had not displayed his full strength at all. Even so, it was already difficult for Zhen Yidian, who was the strongest present, to withstand it. What should we do? Zhen Yidian, Yunzhe, Shang Suyuan, Zhu Qing, Cheng Xiao and the others, who were stronger, all muttered in their hearts. Zhen Yidian, who was still fighting against Night Sorrow, still had some tricks up his sleeve. However, he felt that it was impossible for Night Sorrow to not have any trump cards. During the battle, he sent voice transmissions to Yunzhe, Shang Suyuan, Zhu Qing, Cheng Xiao and the others. He said, "Everyone, Night Sorrow's strength has already surpassed ours by a lot. Why don't we attack him together and try to defeat him? Then we can fight for the golden treasure chest together. If everyone is a plate of loose sand, we won't be his match at all. Alright. Only in this way will we have a chance to fight for the Dominator-level treasure." Yunzhe responded immediately. He knew that in a one-on-one fight, no one was a match for Night Sorrow. At the same time, he didn't care about any sense of shame. Shang Suyuan struggled in his heart, and didn't immediately respond. Zhu Qing saw him struggling and sent a voice transmission. Compared to Dominator-level treasures, there's no need to care about anything else. How can you accomplish great things if you're so conflicted? I feel that Night Sorrow has already forgiven us once. If we offend him again, we might suffer crazy revenge. Shang Suyuan had fought with Night Sorrow before. He knew that Night Sorrow had many tricks up his sleeve, and was somewhat afraid of him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given in at that time. He dared to participate in the fight for the treasure, but he didn't have the courage to attack Night Sorrow directly. With so many of us attacking together, even if Night Sorrow is very strong, he definitely won't be a match for us. As long as we kill him directly, how can we overturn the heavens? Zhu Qing continued to persuade him. In her opinion, no matter how strong Night Sorrow was, he wouldn't be able to survive the siege of more than 30 experts on the High God list. "I'll observe a little more," Shang Suyuan said hesitantly. It was impossible for him not to be tempted by Dominator-level treasures. However, his fear of Night Sorrow was too deep. Thinking of Night Sorrow's sealed space, he couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. In fact, the others had similar thoughts as Zhu Qing. No matter how strong a high god was, it was impossible for him to survive against more than 30 experts of the same realm. Therefore, the alliance that Zhen Yidian initiated was established almost instantly. Attack! Everyone attacked together. After Zhen Yidian was sent flying by Night Sorrow again, Yunzhe, who had been preparing his attack, immediately launched a sneak attack at Night Sorrow. "Alright. Kill Night Sorrow, and then we'll fight for the golden treasure chest." After Yunzhe shouted, Everyone except Shang Suyuan chose to attack at the first moment. Sure enough, they're attacking together? Come. It's a good opportunity for me to test my true strength. Facing everyone attacking together, Knight Sorrow directly activated the Treastrimsa battle secret technique and raised his strength to its strongest state. Chapter 2665. Ha ha ha. This kind of confidence of yours is really blind. Even an invincible divine lord would not dare to face so many invincible high gods head-on. Who do you think you are? How dare you boast so shamelessly? Go to hell. Knight Sorrow had no intention of retreating at all. Yunzhe, who was the first to launch a sneak attack, sneered and berated. You should think about how you're going to face my attack. Yunzhe was the first to launch a sneak attack. Knight Sorrow looked at him with a smile and waved his hand to launch the forbidden reincarnation spear. If Yunzhe had not provoked him, Knight Sorrow would have used the green rock soul-splitting roar. Not good. Seeing Knight Sorrow's expression, Yunzhe immediately realized that he had made a huge mistake. He had charged too quickly and left the others a certain distance behind. It's too late to realize that it's not good. Knight Sorrow, who had activated the Treastrimsa battle secret technique and used the forbidden reincarnation spear, had no intention of holding back. Although Yunzhe was ranked first on the high god list, there was no suspense in taking this move head-on. Not to mention his Dantian and Divine Sea. His entire body was blasted into nothingness and completely disappeared between heaven and earth. This scene caused the other invincible high gods who wanted to attack to slow down. It was only at this moment that they realized just how powerful Yi Shan was. Long Xiangyu, who originally wanted to help, opened his mouth, but did not say a word. He only shook his head and sighed. The worried people in the Clear Sky Pagoda also felt relieved about Knight Sorrow. The strength of his attack was no longer something that the high gods could withstand. The degree of his strength had even surpassed all the high gods since ancient times and reached an unfathomable level. Knight Sorrow's attack power is very strong, but if we attack together, he will definitely not be able to defend. Everyone, don't underestimate him and use your strongest moves. Zhen Yedian, who had crawled up from the ground in the distance, saw that Knight Sorrow's aura had increased several times and killed Yunzhe in an instant. His heart immediately turned cold. However, since his hand had already moved, it was impossible for him to retreat. He could only brace himself and give orders. At the same time, he once again controlled the mountain-shaped artifact to attack Knight Sorrow. At the same time, everyone else's attacks were also in place. Knight Sorrow used his Void Extreme Shadow physique to evade the attacks of more than 30 high gods. Even if he were to take so many attacks head-on, he would still be instantly killed. With the help of the Clam Dragon Eye, Knight Sorrow cleverly dodged most of the attacks. He found an opportunity to use Inferno Demon Subduing and Azure Rock Soul Rending Roar. This time he used 3 roars, not just the third move, Break Samsara. Knight Sorrow's Blue Phoenix Soul-Rending Roar, aided by the Inferno Devil Vanquishing mantra, was able to unleash the Blue Phoenix Soul-Rending Roar. Although the other invincible gods were still attacking, many of their souls were seriously injured. At this point, Knight Sorrow's attacks were almost as powerful as the Divine King's. It was not something they could withstand. This is truly invincible. If Brother Yi continues to grow, what level will he reach? Long Xiangyu, who was watching Knight Sorrow's battle from afar, was so shocked that he could not close his mouth. In front of him, these invincible high gods were nothing more than ants. Their attacks were weak and feeble, and their defense was like that of a child's. If he did not see it with his own eyes, who would dare to believe it? In the Clear Sky Pagoda, the people from the Horn Clan, who were originally cultivating, all stopped. Jiao Kong said with emotion, "Brother Knight Sorrow is indeed worthy of the old ancestors' attention. His aptitude is truly indescribable." Yes. In the history of the divine world, there has never been such a powerful god. Compared to him, us monarchs are simply too weak. Jiao Hui also sighed. Knight Sorrow's bravery made him feel endless pressure, even though he was separated by the Clear Sky Pagoda. Compared to Jiao Hui, the pressure that Knight Sorrow felt was even more terrifying. As the battle progressed, they discovered that under the suppression of Knight Sorrow's powerful divine domain, It was difficult for everyone to use their strongest techniques. Moreover, as time passed, Night Sorrow's performance became more and more terrifying. Not only could he see the trajectory of everyone's attacks, but he could also easily destroy Monarch-level divine weapons. Even if it was a Monarch-level divine level, he did not feel much pressure facing them. This Night Sorrow is a little too perverse. In the crowd, Cheng Xiao, who was no longer attacking Night Sorrow and only wanted to protect herself, felt as if she was facing the Divine King. A high god had the aura of the Divine King. This made her unable to understand at all. Zhen Yedian, what should we do? Looks like everyone is not his match. If this continues, everyone will die in his hands. As their side continued to lose members, Zhu Qing transmitted a message to Zhen Yedian helplessly. He never thought that Night Sorrow could really be powerful to such an extent that all the high gods since ancient times were overshadowed. What should we do? What else could they do? Now that the illusion formation has been broken, of course, everyone should run for their lives. Zhen Yedian sighed and said, "Could it be that even now you are still interested in that golden treasure chest? It's impossible for me not to be interested." Seeing a Dominator-level item fall into his hands, "I, Zhu Qing, am not happy." Zhu Qing replied truthfully. Only now did he understand how wise Shang Shuyuan's choice of not attacking was. "There's nothing we can do even if you are unhappy. He is invincible here." Zhen Yedian sighed helplessly. Then his eyes seemed to light up as he said, "I got it. Since you and I don't want the treasure to be taken by him, why don't we leave and report to the Golden Crow tribe? After all, this is the Golden Crow ancient realm. Their tribe has more than just high gods." "Okay. It's decided then. After you and I break out, we will go to the Golden Crow tribe together and report that a Dominator-level item has appeared. This way we might get some rewards," Zhu Qing said in agreement. "Okay, it's decided then. Let's split up and escape," Zhen Yedian said to Zhu Qing. He completely ignored the people who were still fighting Night Sorrow and took the lead to escape from this small world. F***CK. Zhen Yedian is the first to escape. Seeing Zhen Yedian escape, Zhu Qing followed closely behind. The high gods present did not dare to stay any longer. They all used their strongest escape techniques and escaped from this small world one after another. "I still can't bring myself to kill so many people." Night Sorrow shook his head as he watched them leave. In fact, he had the ability to kill all of them. However, as the Merit High God, he could not bring himself to do so. "Brother Yi, you are really a god who has descended from the heavens. Your divine might shines through the ages." After the battle ended, Long Xiangyu immediately went forward and praised him from the bottom of his heart. "Haha, Brother Long, you flatter me," Night Sorrow replied with a smile. Then he looked at the golden treasure chest on the mountain peak. He was thinking of a way to obtain this treasure chest. Chapter 2666. Those spirit formations were all at the God King level. Furthermore, they were extremely complicated. On top of that, they were arranged in an exquisite manner. They formed a hybrid God King level spirit formation. It wasn't impossible for Night Sorrow to break it, but it would take a lot of time. "Brother Yi, now that you've defeated all the enemies, why don't you go to the top of the mountain to get the treasure chest?" Long Xiangyu asked curiously when he saw that Night Sorrow didn't immediately take the treasure chest with the aura of a sovereign. "The formation in front is very complicated. If I wasn't confident in breaking it, I wouldn't take the risk to enter," Yishang explained. He stood where he was and continued to observe the formation of the array. "The formation in front of us should have been set up by a sovereign-level expert, but there's a certain gap between his formation skills and cultivation. He's only at the king level. However, even a king-level expert would need a long time to break it," Night Sorrow explained to Long Xiangyu, after using the eye of the sea serpent to observe for a while. He was a little hesitant about breaking the formation. It would take more than a day or two to break the formation here. It might take a few months, or even a few years. Although Long Tianqing and Ling Yin had agreed on 100 years, he didn't want Wu Lingfei to wait too long. Sovereign-level items, no matter what they are, can only be found by chance. It would be a pity if you give up without trying. Morong Tsai advised from the spatial artifact. You're someone with the potential of a sovereign. You shouldn't miss such an opportunity. Otherwise, it'll be detrimental to your future cultivation. Is there such a thing? Hearing Morong Tsai's words, Yishang asked doubtfully. Of course there is. Not only this time, but as long as you encounter it in the future, you have to fight for it. This way, it won't affect your future luck. Morong Tsai continued. These words were said by Sovereign Qing Yin. As for whether it's true or not, you can judge for yourself. Forget it. I'd rather believe it than not. I'll give it a try. Night Sorrow replied to Morong Tsai, and looked at Long Xiangyu. Those people who just left will definitely not be satisfied. Even if he left, he wouldn't let us live in peace. It was very likely that he would inform the Golden Crow clan. If we stay here, we need to set up a concealment array. If someone comes, we'll need to hide inside. After all, this was the ancient Golden Crow realm. The Golden Crow clan was probably very strong. Night Sorrow did not overlook this point. Brother Yi, there's no point for me to stay here anyway. Why don't I enter your spatial artifact? Long Xiangyu felt that he couldn't understand these array formations at all, so there was no point in staying outside. That's fine too. As he spoke, Night Sorrow set up a concealment array that was close to the level of the Divine King. Although this formation had not reached the level of the Divine King, even the Divine King would find it difficult to sense its existence. Since he could observe the array around the golden treasure chest from within the concealment array, Night Sorrow decided to stay inside. Just like that, 3 months passed. Night Sorrow observed the array formation in front of him. It was formed by a combination of 9 king-level arrays. These 9 king-level arrays gave off a feeling similar to 9 consecutive rings. One had to consider them together. It was impossible to break them one by one. Brother Night Sorrow, how's your research going? Jiao Kong, who was cultivating in the Clear Sky Pagoda, asked with concern when he saw that Night Sorrow had not moved for 3 months, and had been observing the arrangement of the array formations. He was afraid that he would go berserk. Although I can't break the array, I've gained quite a bit. I've more or less figured out the principles of these arrays. Night Sorrow walked out of his state of concentration, and sent a voice transmission to Jiao Kong in the Clear Sky Pagoda. Brother Night Sorrow, can you tell me what's going on with the array formations here? Jiao Kong continued. This is a 9-chain-like. Yishang did not hold anything back. He explained his analysis of the situation in full detail. A 9-chain-like array formation. Jiao Kong's face lit up with joy when he heard this. He said, Brother Night Sorrow, I have an array diagram on me. It was left behind by my ancestor. There seems to be a description of this array formation inside. Patriarch Jiao Kong, can you let me take a look? It was clearly not good to ask for a treasure like this. However, Night Sorrow did not want to waste too much time here. Haha. I naturally have no intention of hiding anything when I said what I said just now, Jiao Kong said with a smile. He walked out of the Clear Sky Pagoda, and handed a simple beast skin to Night Sorrow. This beast skin was very old. There were many array formations drawn on it. Among them was this array formation called the 9-chain-like array formation. It really is the array diagram of the array formation in front of me. If I had obtained it earlier, the array formation would have been broken by now. Night Sorrow thought with some regret in his heart. He then began to study the 9-chain-like array formation in front of him, according to the array diagram provided by Jiao Kong. With the help of this array diagram, Night Sorrow no longer stayed in the concealment array formation to observe it. Instead, he directly entered the array formation, and began to break it. With the 9-chain-like array formation's array diagram, his speed of breaking the array formation was 100 times faster than before. In roughly 7 days' time, they had consecutively broken through 3 God King level array formations. After successfully breaking these 3 Divine King grade array formations, the sovereign aura emitted by the golden insurance immediately became even stronger. Feeling the sovereign aura inside, Night Sorrow asked Cao Ling, Ling, can you sense what's inside now? I'm sorry, big brother Night Sorrow. Linger is useless. I still can't sense what's inside. Cao Ling, said with some grievance. She clearly looked a little anxious. Haha. Don't mind it, Ling. I was just asking casually. In any case, I'll break the array soon. Why would I worry about it now? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then he put Cao Ling back into his spatial artifact and continued to break the array formation. About a month later, the 9-chain-like array formation was completely broken. Night Sorrow let out a long sigh of relief. He soared into the air and flew in the direction of the mountain peak. When he wasn't far away, Night Sorrow reached out and opened the lid of the golden treasure chest. Instantly, the surroundings emitted an incomparably resplendent light. Following the appearance of this light, the sovereign aura completely erupted. Night Sorrow calmed down for a while and discovered that the golden treasure chest contained a sovereign-grade divine artifact. The bone bow was a perfect dominator-grade divine artifact. However, there were no arrows in the treasure chest. Good bow. But there are no arrows. I don't know if it can be used. Compared to the sharp sovereign aura, the sovereign-grade divine artifact bow in front of him looked a lot more simple and unadorned. Night Sorrow reached out and grabbed it. Instantly, he felt a vast amount of energy circulating around the bow. Ha! Good bow. It is indeed a good bow. From now on, this sovereign-grade divine artifact bow belongs to my Golden Crow clan. Chapter 2667. Why should the opportunity that I obtained belong to you? Hearing the other party's words, Yi Shang turned his head and looked over, replying emotionlessly. Because this is the ancient Golden Crow world. The Golden Crow clan is powerful enough to crush you. The Golden Crow that spoke was an invincible Sir God in human form. His aura was very close to that of the Divine King. His every move exuded an invincible aura. Beside him were 2 other invincible Sir Gods and 5 ordinary Sir Gods. Behind the 7 of them were several God-level warriors. In addition, Zhen Yedian and Zhu Qing were among them. Obviously, they were the ones who had leaked the information. I won't give the opportunity that I obtained to anyone. Although this place is called the Golden Crow clan, I obtained the opportunity by risking my life. I won't give it to you. Night Sorrow looked at him and said without hesitation. Night Sorrow, although you are powerful, you are no match for Lord Jin Xiang. It's better for you to surrender now. Zhen Yedian, who was standing behind the invincible Sir God Golden Crow, said immediately when he saw that Night Sorrow wasn't going to agree. Zhen Yedian, you are a member of Dominator Tianye's clan. Don't you feel ashamed that you have joined a clan in the ancient world? Night Sorrow looked at Zhen Yedian and said disdainfully. He had great respect for Hegemon Tianai, but Zhen Yedian's actions had greatly disappointed him. You don't have to care about what I do. You just need to know that you won't be able to take the bone bow away today. Zhen Yedian sneered. That's right. If we can't get it, you can't either. Zhu Qing, who hadn't spoken, also laughed. You have performed well. As long as you obtain the bone bow, the Golden Crow clan will give you valuable rewards and send you out of the ancient Golden Crow world. Invincible Sir God Jin Xiang of the Golden Crow clan was very satisfied with Zhen Yedian and Zhu Qing's performance. You want the bone bow? You must be dreaming. Night Sorrow looked at the people present. The other party's lineup was indeed powerful, but without the Divine King, he felt that he had a chance. Dreaming? Soon, I'll show you who's dreaming. How can an high deity ant like you possess a sovereign-grade divine bow? A greedy look appeared in Jin Xiang's eyes. No one could remain unmoved by a dominator rank item. Since you think I don't deserve it, then do it. He also looked fearlessly at the other party's camp. Although he was the only one on his side, he was not afraid at all. With the dominator rank bone bow in his hand, he felt like he had endless confidence in facing anyone. If you want to die in peace, then I, Jin Xiang, will fulfill your wish. Jin Gui Jin Lai, kill him. From Jin Xiang's point of view, Night Sorrow was only a superior god. Sending 2 invincible divine lords was more than enough. Yes, young master. The 2 golden crows sent by Jin Xiang immediately turned into 2 balls of fire after receiving the order, and smashed towards Night Sorrow's position. The 2 balls of fire contained a terrifying amount of heat. The temperature was even higher than the flames in the Samsara halberd. Faced with this attack, Night Sorrow did not use the bone bow in his hand. Instead, he activated the Trayastrimsa battle secret technique and used the sea serpent's eye to observe his opponent's trajectory. Then, he used the Samsara halberd to strike out 2 forbidden reincarnation spears. Boom! Boom! The 2 golden crows that were rushing over were hit by this attack and were instantly sent flying in a sorry state. What? A single high god was actually able to easily defeat 2 invincible divine lords. Seeing Night Sorrow defeat Jin Gui and Jin Lai in one move, Jin Xiang's eyes were filled with astonishment. What happened in front of him was beyond his knowledge. In Jin Xiang's memory, although there were outstanding superior gods who had entered the ancient Golden Crow world, there had never been one who was as strong as Night Sorrow. Now you know that it's not that easy to get my bone bow. Yi Shang pointed at Jin Xiang and said after repelling the 2 golden crows at the level of invincible divine lords with one move. Not easy. My Golden Crow clan is extremely powerful. With the Divine King here, do you really think that an ant like you can do anything here? Jin Xiang mocked and transmitted his voice to everyone. Let's attack together. No matter what method we use, as long as we take him down, everyone will be rewarded. Yes, young master. Upon receiving Jin Xiang's order, the Golden Crow clan's warriors who were present all responded in unison. After the injured Jin Gui and Golden Lai returned to the team, Jin Xiang ordered, 2 fists cannot defeat 4 hands. Later, I will hold him back. You guys try your best to kill him. Jin Xiang's voice was not soft. Hearing him say this, Night Sorrow sneered. You guys are far from enough to kill me. If you attack again, don't blame me for being merciless. Although the Horn Clan's supreme being had warned Night Sorrow not to offend the Golden Crow clan in the ancient Golden Crow world, Night Sorrow did not take it seriously and directly came to snatch the sovereign bone bow. Faced with such a situation, Night Sorrow did not want to give in. I don't care if you are merciless or not. I will kill you no matter what. In the ancient Golden Crow world, you are the first person to not give face to the Golden Crow clan. Jin Xiang's words were cold and arrogant. In his opinion, Night Sorrow's attitude was already a death sentence. In the ancient Golden Crow world, only people like Shen Yedian and Zhu Qing could bow and scrape. Your face is worthless. Night Sorrow did not panic in the face of everyone's attacks. He also did not summon Long Xiangyu, Murong Tsai, and the others because he knew that the 2 of them or the Horn Clan warriors would not be of much use against the opponent in front of him. It would be better for him to fight alone. Go to hell. Jin Xiang roared. After the others attacked, he also joined the battle. Compared to the others, Jin Xiang's strength was clearly much stronger. If Night Sorrow had not become a high god here, he would definitely not be Jin Xiang's match. However, the will of the heavens was in the unseen world. The current Night Sorrow's strength had increased qualitatively. Although he was a little flustered in the face of everyone's attacks, he did not show any signs of defeat. At the same time, he also successfully killed Zhu Qing and seriously injured Zhen Yedian. If Jin Xiang had not helped to block, Zhen Yedian would have been killed. Although he was a member of the Tianyi clan, Night Sorrow looked down on him completely and did not show any mercy when he attacked. After a stalemate, Night Sorrow felt that there were too many enemies to face, so he used the Green Rock Soul-Splitting Roar and Raging Flames Demon. Chapter 2668. Jin Xiang was so angry that his face turned green when he saw Night Sorrow use a large-scale divine soul attack and injure everyone below the level of invincible Sir God. After fighting for less than 20 breaths, his side, which should have had the upper hand, was left with only 3 invincible Sir Gods who still had the power to fight. The others were either dead or had their divine souls damaged. They did not have the ability to continue fighting. This high god is not easy to deal with. Let's pretend to escape from here and lure him to this small world to fight in the real ancient Golden Crow world. Jin Xiang felt that the situation was not good, so he sent a message to the other 2 invincible Sir Gods. At the same time, he looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Bastard. Since you want to die, don't blame me for being ruthless. You will definitely die today. You have said this several times. You don't have to repeat it. Otherwise, I will think that there is something wrong with your brain." Yishang didn't quite understand what was wrong with Jin Xiang's incessant chatter whenever he stopped attacking. There is something wrong with your brain. Come out and fight again if you dare. Jin Xiang scolded again, and left the small world with Jin Gui and Jin Lai. Their purpose was to call for help. Night Sorrow, this is the ancient Golden Crow world. The Golden Crow clan must have a rich heritage. If the three of them manage to escape, more powerful gold crows will soon appear. Long Xiangyu immediately reminded him when he saw the three golden crows leave in the clear sky pagoda. I know that they are going to find help and deliberately lure me out. Obviously, the Divine King is in the outside world. I am thinking about how to face the Divine King. Night Sorrow analyzed carefully. No matter what, he was only a high god. He was still a few levels away from the Divine King. Even if we hide here, we will definitely have to face the Divine King. Why don't we rush out now before they are ready? We might have a chance to leave the ancient Golden Crow world directly, Long Xiangyu said. Now he was tied to Night Sorrow. Naturally, he did not want Night Sorrow to leave the ancient Golden Crow world successfully. However, given the current situation, Jin Xiang and the others would definitely call for help, and at least one of them would be at the level of the Divine King. You're right. Night Sorrow nodded and said. If I had caught that Golden Crow just now, it would have been the first bargaining chip to leave the ancient Golden Crow world. After all, we don't know how to leave. In the battle just now, Night Sorrow had analyzed that if he wanted to leave the ancient Golden Crow realm, he might have to rely on the power of the Golden Crow race. He felt that if he could capture Jin Xiang and use him to threaten the Golden Crow race, it would be a better choice. It seemed that Jin Xiang's position in the Golden Crow clan was not low. Otherwise, he wouldn't have acted like a tyrant. Yes. If they could capture him, the Golden Crow clan would definitely be afraid of attacking the rat for fear of breaking the vases. Otherwise, the Golden Crow race will definitely not let you leave since you possess a sovereign-grade divine artifact. Although Long Xiangyu had not interacted much with the Golden Crow race, he was well aware of the allure of a Dominator-grade god weapon. Yes, it was the right thing to do. Let's go out. Yishang answered, and left the small world with the Samsara halberd in his hand. When they returned to the ancient Golden Crow realm, the three suns in the sky immediately appeared. At this moment, Jin Xiang, Jin Gui, and Golden Break were rapidly fleeing in one direction. Where are you going? All of you stay here. Night Sorrow, who used the Void Extreme Shadow Body to chase after them, quickly shortened the distance between them. This Night Sorrow is only an exalted god. How can he be so fast? During the battle just now, Night Sorrow had already displayed his superior strength. Jin Xiang had only attacked a few times before he was certain that he was not Night Sorrow's match. Now that he realized that Night Sorrow's speed was also beyond his reach, he was instantly displeased. Where did this freak come from? Young master, what should we do? Jin Gui asked worriedly as he saw Night Sorrow getting closer and closer. He had already exchanged blows with Night Sorrow, and was certain that he was no match for him. What else can we do? Of course, we have to summon our foundation. Jin Xiang's original intention was to rush back to the tribe to find help. However, from the looks of it, Night Sorrow was too fast. There was no chance for them to rush back to the Golden Crow race. This was something that Jin Xiang had never expected before he rushed over. In the battle just now, he did not use his full strength. However, Jin Xiang felt that even if he used all his ultimate techniques, he would definitely not be Night Sorrow's match. As an exalted god, Night Sorrow's strength was actually closer to the Divine King's than an unrivaled Sir God like him. Just as Night Sorrow caught up to the three of them, Jin Xiang suddenly looked into the sky and shouted for help. What's going on? After hearing Jin Xiang's voice for a long time, one of the suns slowly woke up from its slumber. It turned out that it was not a sun at all. It was one of the foundation of the Golden Crow race, a Golden Crow at the level of the Divine King. Divine Ancestor, a cultivator from the Divine World barged into the territory of the Golden Crow race, and successfully obtained the Dominator-level Divine Artifact. Jin Xiang shouted and continued. I originally wanted to defeat him and leave the Divine Artifact behind, but I am not his match. Right now, I am being pursued. Oh, the Divine King-level Golden Crow in the sky? Kim Song looked down. He saw that only one exalted god, Night Sorrow, was chasing after Jin Xiang and the others. He immediately said unhappily, Jin Xiang, the one who obtained the Dominator-level divine artifact and defeated you, is this exalted god in front of us? You woke me up because of this exalted god. Divine Ancestor. He looks like an exalted god, but his true strength is on par with the Divine King. We are no match for him, Jin Xiang immediately explained. Oh, an exalted god is as strong as the Divine King? Even I have never heard of such a thing. If it's true, I will forgive you this once. Kim Song, who was hovering in the sky and emitting a dazzling yellow light, looked down at Night Sorrow and asked, I heard that this exalted god is as strong as the Divine King. I don't know if it's true or not, but answer me honestly. Otherwise, there is only one outcome waiting for you, and that is complete annihilation. Are all of you golden crows so rude when you speak? In the sky, Jin Sheng's tone was extremely arrogant. He didn't care about Yi Shang at all as he coldly replied. Why do I need to be polite when talking to an exalted god like you? If you don't listen, I will slap you to death. Kim Song continued arrogantly. In his opinion, even if Night Sorrow was as strong as the Divine King, he was no match for him. After all, he was already a mid-level Divine King. If that's what you think, then don't blame me for being rude. Kim Song's words were extremely arrogant. Night Sorrow heard him and immediately took out his Dominator-level bone bow, pulled the bowstring, and shot at him. Although there was no arrow this time, the power was definitely not weak. It felt like a long rainbow. What? You dare attack the Divine Ancestor? Chapter 2669. Ordinary exalted gods would be lucky if they didn't kneel before the Divine King. Night Sorrow had actually shot an arrow at the Golden Crow sacred tribe without hesitation. This was something that Jin Xiang had never expected. It had a huge impact on his heart. Regardless of the outcome, he was still shocked by Night Sorrow's boldness. How dare an ant like you attack me? Kim Song, who was floating in the air, was also surprised. He first laughed disdainfully before his expression turned grave. Although Night Sorrow couldn't fully draw the Sovereign Bone Bow, the power he could draw was enough to threaten Kim Song. The Sovereign Bone Bow didn't shoot an ordinary attack. It contained a trace of the Sovereign's laws. How is this possible? Kim Song had never expected Night Sorrow to be able to draw an attack that contained the Sovereign attribute. His expression instantly turned gloomy. At the same time, he had no choice but to use a secret technique to dodge. Otherwise, he would very likely be killed by this move. Boom. The attack, which didn't have an arrow, exploded in the air with a boundless might. Kim Song's speed was extremely fast, and he managed to dodge this attack. However, a huge crack appeared in the void. A gap had actually appeared in the ancient Golden Crow world because of this attack. So what if I attack you? Night Sorrow, who didn't cower in the face of Kim Song, roared loudly. Suddenly his eyes lit up. He discovered that this attack had directly blasted a huge gap in the void. Night Sorrow was delighted when he used the Sea Serpent's Eye to observe this gap. He discovered that this gap seemed to allow him to directly leave the ancient Golden Crow world. He had originally been conflicted about how to leave this place. Now that the exit was right in front of him, how could he not be happy? Haha, Brother Night Sorrow is really a god. Not only can you draw the Sovereign Bow, but you are also very lucky. Jiao Kong, who was in the Clear Sky Pagoda, immediately became excited when he saw Night Sorrow use the Sovereign Bone Bow in his hand to blast a crack in the void. This bone bow is really amazing. Night Sorrow exclaimed as he looked at the bow in his hand. Normally speaking, a Dominator-grade artifact would have a strong repulsive force against a high god. It would be very difficult to even get close to it, let alone control it. Bastard! The ancient Golden Crow world had actually been blasted open. In the future, it's very likely that not only the exalted gods can enter. Kim Song roared in anger when he saw the gap in the void. In the past, only the exalted gods could enter the ancient Golden Crow world. The Golden Crows were the absolute rulers of this world. Now that Night Sorrow had opened up a gap, they were faced with countless dangers. If one or two divine king appeared every few days and came here to look for opportunities, the golden crows would never have peace. What? Divine ancestor, are you saying that the ancient golden crow realm is connected to the god realm? Jin Xiang's face darkened when he heard Kim Sung's words. If there were no accidents, the days of the golden crows as the local tyrant would most likely end today. Damn it. It was like this. However, I will think of a way to repair it. Kim Sung, who was observing the big hole in the void, was in no mood to pay attention to Night Sorrow even though he was extremely angry. This was because the matter in front of him would affect the survival of the golden crows. He had no choice but to take it to heart. Brother Yi, why don't you just blast open a gap here? Why don't you just charge out? Now that you have the Dominator grade bone bow, you can blast open countless gaps if you want to. The golden crow divine ancestor will definitely not dare to attack you. Long Xiangyu, who had already entered the spatial artifact, saw the reaction of the golden crows, and immediately transmitted his judgment through voice transmission. Calm down first. What you said is only one of the possibilities. The other possibility is that he is completely enraged and will attack me. Night Sorrow, who was carefully sensing the bone bow, did not immediately take action. Instead, he swallowed a few pills to recover his yuan qi. Although he hadn't fully drawn the bone bow or even drawn it halfway, he had nearly used up all the yuan qi in his body. It was obvious how terrifying this bone bow was. Night Sorrow, aren't you curious as to how you were able to obtain this Dominator-grade divine artifact with the cultivation of a high god? At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared in Night Sorrow's mind. When he heard this voice, he was stunned at first. Then he asked suspiciously, "Are you the artifact spirit of this bone bow?" "I am the artifact spirit of this bone bow. When you attacked just now, without my help, you wouldn't have been able to display such might," the artifact spirit said. The bone bow spirit continued. "In fact, there is a karma between you and me." "Karma between us? What's going on?" Night Sorrow asked in confusion. "I am the sect master of the Tianyan school, and you are a disciple of the Tianyan school. Of course there is karma between us," the artifact spirit of the bone bow said slowly. Night Sorrow was stunned at first, then felt his heart ache. He asked, "Sect master, could it be that you failed to break through to the sovereign realm, and thus became the artifact spirit of a Dominator-grade divine artifact?" "Ha! That's not it. I have successfully broken through to the sovereign realm. But now, that person is already close to the eternal supreme realm. If it weren't for the eternal supreme realm's predecessors pointing out your existence, you wouldn't have been able to escape. How could I leave the god realm with peace of mind?" Xiao Tianxian, the sect master of the Tianyan school, explained. As it turned out, after the 7 sovereigns, he had quietly become a sovereign. However, before he could appear in front of others, he had been summoned to the eternal sovereign realm to fight. "Sect master, you actually went to the eternal sovereign realm? What kind of world is it?" Night Sorrow asked curiously. He was bound to follow in the footsteps of his predecessors and go to that world. Cruel, extremely cruel. Even a sovereign would be easily obliterated there. Xiao Tianxian, the sect master of the Tianyan school, said and asked with concern, "How is the current situation of my Tianyan school?" His artifact spirit body only contained a trace of soul will. After being reminded by the Horn Clan Supreme, he had been staying in the ancient Golden Crow world to wait for Night Sorrow's arrival. He was completely unaware of some things in the God realm. Currently, the Tianyan school is managed by Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji. The other Vice Sect Master, Ho Jun, is controlled by the extraterrestrial demons. Now he and the forces behind him have been completely eliminated by us. Although the strength of the Tianyan school has been greatly reduced, there are no remnants of the extraterrestrial demons. Night Sorrow told him some things about the Tianyan school. Then he said, "However, many extraterrestrial demons are stirring in the Cloud Fairy continent. Soaring Heaven sect has completely fallen, and the other sects are fighting to the death. This battle will last for a long time. The person who will end it will be you, Night Sorrow." Chapter 2670. Nine Heavens Shrine? Where is that? Knight Sorrow asked curiously. As far as he could remember, there was no such place in the heavenly realm. Nine Heavens Shrine is where I became a sovereign. It was originally the residence of the sovereign of nine heavens, but countless years ago, the sovereign of nine heavens perished, leaving behind a large amount of sovereign laws. Now I have obtained all of the sovereign laws there, but there are still some other opportunities. Tianyun School's sect master Xiao Tianxian explained, then continued. When I became a sovereign, I immediately followed Paragon Ancestor Phoenix to the Eternal Supreme World. I didn't have time to return to Tianyun School, so I hid all the important items in Nine Heavens Shrine. As for this sovereign grade artifact, it was personally forged after I arrived at the Eternal Supreme World, and was brought back by Paragon Ancestor Phoenix. Lord Sect Master, since the Eternal Supreme World is incomparably dangerous, why didn't you keep this sovereign grade artifact by your side? Knight Sorrow asked. Although this sovereign grade artifact bow is extremely rare in the heavenly realm, it's nothing in the Eternal Supreme World. As long as you work hard, it's easy to obtain. It's just that bringing it back to the heavenly realm is a little more difficult. Tianyun School's sect master Xiao Tianxian explained, then continued. My sudden departure will definitely be a huge blow to Tianyun School. This sovereign grade artifact will be called the Tianyun Bao from now on, and it will protect Tianyun School forever. And you will be the next Tianyun School's sect master. Lord Sect Master, as of now Vice Sect Master Yuan Tianji is doing a very good job as acting Sect Master. Tianyun School doesn't need Knight Sorrow to be Sect Master at all. Knight Sorrow explained humbly. He really wasn't interested in the position of Sect Master. It wasn't that he wanted to avoid responsibility, but that his thoughts were mainly on his family. Since you have no intention of becoming the head of the school, there's no need to mention this matter. However, I hope that no matter what happens in the future, you won't just stand by and watch the Tianyun School disband. Xiao Tianxuan's voice contained a trace of bitterness. Clearly, there was something that he hadn't said. Lord Sect Master, did the Horn Race's Paragon divine something? Knight Sorrow wasn't stupid. He immediately deduced something from the tone of Xiao Tianxian, the head of Tianyun School. If the Tianyun School wasn't in danger, Xiao Tianxian wouldn't have had to go all the way from the Eternal Supreme Realm to bring back a sovereign grade divine bow for them. It's just a bad possibility. Xiao Tianxian, the head of the Tianyun School, sighed and continued. I believe that with your luck you can definitely suppress everything for the Tianyun School. In addition, if there are any problems that you can't resolve, you can seek help from the Sovereign Manor. He won't stand by and do nothing when it comes to the Tianyun School. Yes, I understand, Lord Sect Master. However, this time, I killed a high god from the Sovereign Manor. His name was Zheng Yidian. He should be a clansman of the Sovereign Manor. Knight Sorrow said helplessly. No matter. The Sovereign Manor is a man of great courage. He stands on a different level from his clansmen. He won't care about such trifles. Xiao Tianxian explained. Knight Sorrow, cultivate the clone art that Paragon Ancestor Phoenix left for you. I didn't succeed, so I can't leave my name in the God world. If you succeed, you can fight in both the God world and the Eternal Supreme Realm. Paragon Ancestor Phoenix's clone art. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment. Indeed, Paragon Ancestor Phoenix had left behind an ancient record. So that was why he had warned him to cultivate it as soon as he became the Divine King. Yes, it's a lost scripture in the God realm, and it's extremely difficult to cultivate it. So far, none of the people fighting in the Eternal Supreme Realm have succeeded in cultivating it. But if they do, it's simply heaven-defying. Xiao Tianxian, the head of the Tianyun School, spoke with a hint of bitterness in his voice. If he had been able to cultivate a clone back then, he wouldn't have left the God world after becoming a sovereign. He wouldn't have left behind anything for the Tianyun School. Lord Sect Master, Knight Sorrow will cultivate seriously. Knight Sorrow nodded in agreement. Paragon Ancestor Phoenix had said that the Divine King could cultivate that ancient record in the future. He was preparing to break through to the Divine Sovereign Realm. If you succeed, you'll be able to make up for many regrets. Due to space restrictions, I can no longer return to the God world. I hope that you'll be able to walk a brighter path. Xiao Tianxian said, and no longer bothered about this matter. Instead he said, Night Sorrow, although the Tianyin bow is powerful, it lacks an arrow. One day, you can find a way to make up for it. Also, with your current strength, try not to use it after I completely disappear. Because every time you use it, it will hurt your foundation. When you become a divine sovereign, the backlash will be much smaller. Yes, Lord Sectmaster. Night Sorrow understands. Unless it's a life or death crisis, I will try not to use the Tianyin bow. Night Sorrow knew that with his strength as a high god, if he forced himself to use the Tianyin bow, he would indeed suffer an unimaginable backlash. At this moment, the Tianyin school's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, suddenly laughed and said, The other old golden crows of the ancient golden crow world are about to be awakened. They are all divine king. You blasted a hole in the sky of the ancient golden crow world, and have a sovereign-level divine artifact. They definitely want to kill you. Next, I'll help you fight them. So the three sons of the ancient golden crow world are all divine king-level experts. It seems that the golden crow race is not simple. Hearing the words of the Tianyin school's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, Night Sorrow's body surged with boundless battle intent. At the same time, the other two sons in the sky of the ancient golden crow world woke up from their slumber. Who blasted a hole in the sky of the ancient golden crow world? One of the golden crows woke up and discovered that a large hole had been blasted in the sky of the ancient golden crow world. He immediately roared angrily. He was the son of the golden crow patriarch, and his name was Kim Hong. He was currently the oldest and strongest person in the ancient golden crow world. His cultivation level was the upper divine king, and he was not far from the half-step sovereign level. Reporting to Ancestor Hong, it's that high deity ant below called Night Sorrow. While Kim Song was pondering how to fix the hole in the ancient golden crow world, he chose to awaken the other two, because he could not think of a way to completely smooth out the hole. What? A high deity ant can blast the ancient golden crow world into such a state? Hearing Kim Song's words, Kim Hong immediately wanted to scold him. However, when he saw the Tianyin bow in Night Sorrow's hand, he immediately raised his eyebrows and said, A high deity ant actually has a sovereign-level divine artifact. How is that possible? Reporting to Ancestor Hong, he used the sovereign-level divine artifact in his hand to blast a large hole in the ancient golden crow world. Kim Song spoke truthfully and asked, What should we do now? What should we do? Of course, we should kill him and take the sovereign-level divine artifact. Then we can think about how to fix the situation. Chapter 2671. Even sovereigns might not possess a sovereign-grade divine weapon. It was impossible for Kim Hong to not be tempted by Tianyin Bao. You want to kill me? It won't be that easy. Night Sorrow looked up and saw the greed in Kim Hong's eyes. Seeing that three god kings of the Golden Crow clan had suddenly awakened, Murong Tsai, who was in the clear sky pagoda, worriedly asked, Yishang, what should we do? In her opinion, no matter how talented Night Sorrow was, he was only a high god. He had no chance of winning against three divine kings. Brother Yi, from the looks of it, the experts of the Golden Crow tribe are completely green with envy. Even if you threaten them, it shouldn't be of any use. Long Xiangyu, who was originally advising Night Sorrow, also had a grave expression. After all, he was only a high god and had a natural fear of the divine king. As for Jiao Kong, Jiao Hui, Cowlinger and the others, they all had worried expressions. They wanted to say something, but they were afraid that Night Sorrow would be distracted, so they could only pray silently. Night Sorrow, who was aware of everyone's worries in the clear sky pagoda, was very confident because he had the help of the Tianyin school's sect master, Xiao Tianxian. He said, Everyone don't worry. The three divine kings of the Golden Crow ancient world can't trap us. After saying that, Night Sorrow didn't wait for the three divine kings to make a move. He raised his hand and shot 3 arrows. With Xiao Tianxuan's help, although the 3 arrows consumed a lot of his energy, he didn't suffer any backlash. He directly used elixirs to replenish his energy. Great Ancestor, Nirvana Ancestor, this little bastard shattered the void of the Golden Crow ancient world. Kim Song shouted worriedly when he saw Night Sorrow shoot 3 arrows at once. If Night Sorrow was allowed to continue shooting, the Golden Crow ancient world would definitely be riddled with holes. Damn it. This is a little tricky. Each of the 3 divine kings of the Golden Crow clan had to face an arrow energy. If they dodged, the void of the ancient Golden Crow world would definitely be blasted open again. If this continued, the consequences would be unimaginable. First, use your means to block these 3 arrows, then find an opportunity to kill him immediately. He's just a high god. I don't believe he can withstand our attacks. Kim Hong, who had transformed into his human form, had an extremely unsightly expression. With a loud roar, he took out a cauldron-shaped divine artifact and took the blow head-on. You overestimate yourself. Seeing that Kim Hong had chosen to resist, Xiao Tianxian, who was in Tianyan Bao, sneered. As expected. As soon as his voice fell, the copper furnace in Kim Hong's hand was directly shattered. Moreover, the invisible arrow did not stop because of this. Instead, it blasted another huge hole in the ancient Golden Crow world. Even Kim Hong was unable to block Tianyan Bao's arrow energy, let alone the other 2. Kim Song and Jin Ye's divine artifacts were also shattered. At the same time, another 2 huge holes were blasted in the ancient Golden Crow world. This won't do. If this continues, the ancient Golden Crow world will completely appear. Father once said that once the ancient Golden Crow world appears, we will not be far from extinction. Kim Hong roared angrily and continued. From the looks of it, the appearance of the ancient Golden Crow world is already an irreversible matter. The plan now is for the 2 of you to cooperate with me to kill this little bastard. As long as we obtain the Dominator Divine Artifact, the Golden Crow clan will become infinitely powerful. Kim Hong did not avoid Night Sorrow's words at all. Ridiculous, you want to scheme against Tianyan Bao. Xiao Tianxian, who had not appeared all this time, was actually in charge of everything. In the eyes of a dominator like him, Kim Hong and the other divine kings were nothing. Just as Kim Hong spoke, he transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. If the situation becomes dangerous, drip a drop of blood on Tianyan Bao. This way, I can temporarily use some of my dominator abilities to kill these little birds. Okay. I will cooperate with Sect Master. Yi Shang replied. Although the current him was unable to defeat a lesser god king in a head-on battle, he was absolutely capable of protecting himself. But these 3 divine kings of the Golden Crow clan were all middle-level divine kings and above. To him, their strength was a little too powerful and not too easy to contend with. In the end, it still depended on the ability of the Tianyan school's sect master, Xiao Tianxian. Others did not know about this. It seemed that Night Sorrow was the one who was showing off his power. How is this possible? How is this possible? Seeing Night Sorrow's bravery, Jin Xiang, who was watching from afar, was scared out of his wits. When Yi Shang had attacked Jin Sheng just now, he had thought that Yi Shang had overestimated himself. He had not expected things to develop to this point. The entire ancient Golden Crow realm was about to be destroyed, but Yi Shang was still unharmed. For an upper god to be able to go up against 3 god king level beings, and still be able to do so, this was practically an eye-opener for Jin Xiang. Everyone in the Clear Sky Pagoda was excited when they saw Night Sorrow continuously shoot out destructive arrow energies. The most excited was the Horn Clan's patriarch, Jiao Kong. He said emotionally, "Brother Night Sorrow is really a genius. If there are no accidents, he will become the #1 person in the divine world one day. He might also become the #1 person in the eternal supreme world." Jiao Hui transmitted his voice to Jiao Kong. He knew that Night Sorrow would leave the divine world one day. Yes, there was a problem with what I said. Haha, no matter what, Brother Night Sorrow's invincible aura is really amazing. Jiao Kong laughed loudly. At the same time, he was amazed by the Horn Clan's supremacy's powerful divination ability. 3 little birds, you want to fight? Night Sorrow, quickly feed me your blood. Just as Jiao Kong was sighing, the Tianyan school's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, suddenly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. He discovered that the 3 divine kings of the Golden Crow clan were all preparing their ultimate techniques. These ultimate techniques were nothing to a ruler. But a high god like Night Sorrow was completely powerless against them. The only thing he could do was to take the lead and launch an even sharper attack to nip the danger in the bud. Okay. Sect Master. Hearing the words of Xiao Tianxian, the clan master of the Tianyun clan, Yishang did not hesitate. He immediately cut open his wrist and continuously poured blood into the Tianyun bow. Not long after, the Heaven Cloud bow, which was originally a bone bow, not only grew flesh and blood on it, it was also covered by fine dragon scales. Clearly, some of the Tianyun bow's materials came from dragons. Sky Cloud Sunshot Art. The Heavenly Cloud bow grew flesh and dragon scales. Yishang immediately tossed it into the air and shouted. This was the ultimate technique he and Tianyun Bao had learned through blood and sweat. Night Sorrow then stood in the air and made the posture of drawing the bow. The Tianyun Bao in the sky gradually bent along with Night Sorrow's movements. As the Tianyun Bao was completely drawn, it exploded with a sound that sounded like the void was about to explode. This is an attack that contains the power of a ruler. Be careful, you two must be careful. Kim Hong, who had been preparing his ultimate technique to kill Night Sorrow, immediately warned Kim Song and Jin Nia when he saw Tianyun Bao erupt with such a powerful attack. Hongzu, even if I, Kim Song, have to kill this high god. Chapter 2672. There weren't many divine kings in the entire divine realm. The Golden Crow clan had 3 divine kings. Even if they were to reappear, they would be one of the top forces in the divine realm. The Golden Crow clan was furious that a high god had stirred up the situation. As a godly king, Jinsheng did not care about godly monarchs and high gods. Today, he had been humiliated by a high god like Yishang. His mentality was completely out of balance. He felt that even if he had to switch places, he would kill Yishang in the ancient Golden Crow world. Kim Song, who was like a scorching sun, attacked fiercely. He had activated some secret technique, and even dodged the Sky Cloud Sun shooting arts attack. This is the Divine King's desperate attack. Night Sorrow felt that he had been completely locked in by this attack. There was no chance for him to escape. How does the threat of death feel? If I don't do anything, you will be killed by this attack. At this moment, the voice of Xiao Tianxian, overlord of the Tianyun school, came from Tianyun Bao. He spoke neither fast nor slow, as if he was interrogating someone. Even if Overlord doesn't do anything, Night Sorrow might not die. Night Sorrow didn't give up completely in the face of Kim Song's fatal attack. He activated the Eye of the Sea Serpent, and used the Treastrimsa Battle Mystic technique again. Then he took out the Samsara halberd and shot it at Kim Song like an arrow. The Samsara halberd that was shot out carried with it a destructive aura. The domineering Samsara energy tore through the void. Even Kim Song, who had activated his secret technique, couldn't dodge it. Boom! Kim Song's body trembled when he was hit by the Samsara halberd. Then he fell heavily to the ground. The tip of the Samsara halberd had been strengthened by the Dominator Stone, and carried a trace of the Dominator's power. Kim Song was powerful, but he was just a divine king. His body couldn't be stronger than the Samsara halberd. Moreover, the Tianyun Bao's energy had caused serious damage to him. You can do this? When Long Xiangyu, who was in the Clear Sky Pagoda, saw Night Sorrow shoot out the Cycle Heavenly Halberd like an arrow, he immediately sighed with astonishment. If it were him, he would not have thought of this at all. Morong Kai-yi, who was originally very worried about Night Sorrow, gradually calmed down. She found that no matter how desperate the situation was, Night Sorrow would always find a way to deal with it. It seemed like there was nothing in this world that could stump him. Jiao Kong, Jiao Hui, and the other members of the Horn race were equally happy. Night Sorrow was only a high god. Yet he was able to injure the Divine King. This kind of invincibility shocked them. He really blocked it. Night Sorrow, it seems that this sect master has underestimated you. Xiao Tianxian, the head of Tianyun Bao's Tianyun school, spoke again. This time he was truly moved. If he were Night Sorrow, he would not be able to think of any way to deal with the attack just now. However, Night Sorrow not only resolved a life and death crisis, but also injured Kim Song to a certain extent. Night Sorrow also came up with a sudden idea. Sect Master, please don't laugh at me. Knight Sorrow said modestly. Then, he called back the cycle heavenly halberd and prepared for the next attack. Knight Sorrow, you are too modest. Only when the sea is turbulent can the true colors of a hero be revealed. Your performance at the critical moment comforted this sect master. I look forward to you rushing to the eternal supreme world as soon as possible. Xiao Tianxian, the head of Tianyun School, said. He had high expectations for Knight Sorrow. Lord Sectmaster, you flatter me. Knight Sorrow was also lucky. The cycle heavenly halberd just happened to be strengthened by the sovereign stone, and has reached a certain level of strength. It also has the power of reincarnation, and is extremely powerful in terms of attributes. Otherwise, it would not have been able to block Kim Song's attack. After replying, Knight Sorrow raised his head and looked at the enemies in the distance. At this moment, Kim Hong and Jean Nye of the Golden Crow race had used up all their strength and finally blocked the Sky Cloud shooting Sunday. The two of them had suffered some injuries, but they were not as serious as Kim Song's. They clearly still had the strength to fight. When facing an enemy, especially a mortal enemy, it is best not to show mercy. Otherwise you will be bitten by a snake. Noticing that Kim Hong and Jean Nye still had the strength to fight, Tianyun School's sect master Xiao Tianxian transmitted his voice. Although he was currently only an illusory image that had transformed into an artifact spirit, his vision was still at the sovereign level. Facing two divine king crows, he was very confident in his control. Even if I don't continue to attack, the two of them will still plot against Tianyun Bao. Rather than being targeted by them, it is better to completely eliminate them while the sect master is still here. Knight Sorrow's attitude was also very resolute. Observing Kim Hong, Jean Nye, and Kim Song's hateful gazes, he swallowed a pill to recover his Yuan Qi and used the Sky Cloud shooting sun art against the three of them again. With the experience from last time, Knight Sorrow's movements were much more skillful. With the help and support of the Tianyun School's sect master Xiao Tianxian, he easily continued to shoot at the three golden crows. Although he did not use the cycle heavenly halberd, the three consecutive arrows were extremely powerful. The majestic arrow chi streaked across the sky and caused the void to buzz. Not only did Kim Hong, Jean Nye, and Kim Song feel immense pressure, but some of the golden crows standing in the distance were also scared out of their wits. As long as Knight Sorrow didn't have a bottom line and shot in their direction, the Golden Crow clan would definitely be in great trouble. This little bastard wants to use his own strength to unleash such an attack, and it's a continuous attack. It's simply impossible. If I'm not wrong, the artifact spirit in that bow is extremely powerful. It might even be close to the sovereign level. We shouldn't be a match for it. Kim Hong, who was being attacked, pondered for a moment before finally coming to a realization. If it's as Ancestor Hong said and we continue to fight, won't what await us be eternal death? Upon hearing Kim Hong's words, Jean Nye immediately transmitted his voice. If the artifact spirit was at the sovereign level, it would indeed be very easy to kill them. Anyone with a connection to the sovereign level was not something the Divine King could look down on. My judgment is definitely not wrong. Otherwise, no matter how strong a high god is, he wouldn't be able to suppress us three Divine Kings to the point where we can't even fight back. It's not like you and I haven't fought against other Divine Kings before. When have we ever been in such a sorry state? Therefore, there's only one reason. A sovereign artifact spirit is helping this kid. Kim Hong said with certainty. In fact, this was a logic that anyone could see, but they were somewhat oblivious to the situation. Although Knight Sorrow was extraordinarily talented, he was only a high god. Even if he could slightly resist a lower Divine King, he was nothing in front of middle and upper Divine Kings like them. At this moment, the artifact spirit was suppressing the three of them to the point where they could not even fight back. It was definitely borrowing external strength. Now that Ancestor Hong has said so, it seems to be the case. Then what should we do? Kim Song, who had been severely injured by the cycle heavenly halberd and looked extremely weak, transmitted his voice. He was bleeding from the corner of his mouth. Chapter 2673. As he sighed helplessly, Kim Hong asked, "Do the two of you want to submit or escape?" Kim Song thought for a moment and said, The ancient Golden Crow domain is the place where the Golden Crow race can live peacefully. Our ancestors once said that we can't leave this place, or we'll be in danger of being exterminated. Now that we want to protect this place, although we don't feel good about it, we should still submit. There's nothing to be unhappy about. The third divine king of the Golden Crow race losing to a sovereign-grade divine weapon isn't shameful. It's impossible for the divine king to fight a sovereign-grade divine weapon. Even if the sovereign-grade divine weapon is an artifact spirit, it's still impossible, Jin Hong said with a resounding voice. Thinking of this, his mood immediately improved a lot. He continued asking, Jin Ye, what do you think? Ancestor Hong's opinion is my opinion. Jin Ye looked at Night Sorrow and the sovereign-grade divine weapon in his hand, Tianyun Bao. At this moment, Tianyun Bao's face was filled with intense killing intent. He looked like a wild beast that was ready to go berserk at any moment. Zai. Undefeatable, undefeatable. In the end, the Divine King is just an ant against a sovereign-grade divine weapon. Kim Hong shook his head when he sensed the sovereign-grade divine weapon's aura erupting from Tianyun Bao. It's not shameful to lose to a sovereign-grade divine weapon. I hope the two of you can pull yourself together. After transmitting a few words to Kim Song and Jin Ye, Kim Hong transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Little friend, stop. The Golden Crow race is willing to turn hostility into friendship. You think I'll stop just because you say so? How is that possible? Night Sorrow could accept that Kim Hong of the Golden Crow race had chosen to submit. However, he wasn't prepared to stop immediately. If he did that, he would be able to obtain a lot less resources. One had to hit a snake before hitting it. When Night Sorrow blasted out the sky cloud sun shooting art again, Kim Song, who originally didn't want to lower his head, said stop. The Golden Crow race will do our best to satisfy whatever you want. There's no need to continue. When he said this, Kim Song, who had already transformed into his human form, had an ugly expression on his face. Since you said so, there's still room for discussion. Night Sorrow swallowed another pill to recover his divine essence energy. After recovering, he looked at the three divine king. He asked, now that I have Tianyun Bao, I need some divine king or sovereign level Golden Crow feathers to create some arrows. Are you able to fulfill this request? Night Sorrow, you've gone too far. There are only 3 divine king in the Golden Crow clan, and that's the 3 of us. If you want the Golden Crow's feather, aren't you asking the 3 of us to pluck it? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the bad-tempered Kim Song immediately exploded in anger. I don't want much, just 30 feathers. If I lack even one, I'll continue fighting. Although Night Sorrow was only a high god, he didn't show any fear in front of the Divine King. Moreover, with the support of Tianyun Bao and Tianyun School's sect master Xiao Tianxian, the other party's divine realm didn't have any effect on him. His speech wasn't affected at all. Impossible. Even if the Golden Crow clan dies in battle, we won't pluck out our own feathers. Kim Song said furiously. If the Golden Crow clan forcibly plucked out their feathers, their cultivation would be affected. At this moment, Kim Hong said, my young friend Night Sorrow, the Golden Crow clan agrees to your request. I, Kim Hong, will provide you with 30 feathers. As soon as he finished speaking, he plucked out 30 bloodstained feathers from his body. These feathers were all at the Divine King's level. Whether it was in terms of toughness or the fire attribute they contained, they were extremely shocking. With a little forging, they could be made into arrows with astonishing power. Hongzu, Night Sorrow, remember this, today's matter isn't over. Seeing Kim Hong pluck out 30 feathers himself, Kim Song was so angry that his brain exploded. He threatened Night Sorrow. Haha, very good. I didn't think it was over either. Under such circumstances, Kim Song still dared to speak ruthlessly. Night Sorrow sneered and said, my next request is for the Golden Crow clan to open the treasury and let me choose any 3 items. Kim Song, shut up. The situation is beyond our control. We don't have the ability to be unyielding right now. Kim Hong, who had chosen to admit defeat, was clearly a little weak because he had plucked out 30 feathers. He spoke weakly. He berated Kim Song, who spoke without thinking and looked at Night Sorrow. The Golden Crow clan can open the treasury, but you can only choose 1 item from it. What do you think? 3 items. Not a single one less. The sect master of Tianyun school, Xiao Tianxian, reminded Knight Sorrow without waiting for him to answer. The Golden Crow clan had lived in seclusion for countless years, and had accumulated an astonishing amount of treasures. If Knight Sorrow could choose 3 treasures under his guidance, it would be of great help to improve his strength. In Xiao Tianxuan's opinion, Knight Sorrow's weakest point was his cultivation. He wanted to find resources in the Golden Crow clan's treasury that could quickly improve his strength and help him reach peak high god, which was the half-step Divine Lord realm. Normally, continuous breakthroughs would cause the foundation to be unstable. Knight Sorrow, who was at the upper high god realm, could even challenge the weaker Divine King. There was no problem with his foundation being weak. Sect Master, water is not full. Knight Sorrow replied to Xiao Tianxian, the sect master of Tianyun school, and said, I will choose 2 items. Anything less is off the table. This alright. Kim Hong was a little relieved that Knight Sorrow had left some leeway in this matter. Kim Song also stopped provoking him. Take me to your treasury and don't activate any arrays. Otherwise, the Golden Crow clan will be completely wiped out today. Knight Sorrow threatened as he followed Kim Hong to the treasury of the Golden Crow clan. He knew that caution was the parent of safety. If he were to be trapped in an extraordinary formation with his current strength, the consequences would be unimaginable. Don't worry. The Golden Crow clan won't stoop to such despicable and shameless things. After all, our late father was a sovereign. Kim Hong sighed and stopped in front of a treasury. After today, the Golden Crow clan will need to spend a lot of resources to repair the hole in the ancient Golden Crow world. Please be merciful. With that, he sat in front of the treasury and didn't follow Knight Sorrow in. This meant that if Knight Sorrow was shameless, he could take one item after another. However, Knight Sorrow was a man of his word. He looked at Kim Hong and said, I cultivate the power of merit and never lie. If I say 2 items, it's 2 items. Don't worry. Power of merit? Hearing this, Kim Hong suddenly thought of something, but it was too fleeting and he couldn't grasp it. While pondering, he muttered, Father seems to have mentioned the power of merit. What is it? Chapter 2674. The Golden Crow's treasure trove was similar to their own. It radiated a dazzling light, and every corner of it was dazzling. What a dazzling sight! Knight Sorrow said to Tianyun Bao's sect leader, Xiao Tianxian, as he walked into the treasure trove. Haha, this is the nature of the Golden Crows. Xiao Tianxian, the Tianyun school's sect leader, replied. You don't lack external items now. What you lack is your own cultivation. We'll focus on that. But if we find a sovereign-grade item, we'll definitely prioritize it. Of course. Knight Sorrow replied, then continued. Sect leader, Knight Sorrow's cultivation has improved very quickly. Unfortunately, it hasn't been long since I ascended from the lower realm. I'm aware of your situation. Some of the big shots in the Eternal Supreme World know as well. Xiao Tianxian, the Tianyun school's sect leader, comforted him. In fact, if the Eternal Supreme World wasn't facing a crisis, the previous paragons wouldn't have pressured you. The crisis is simply too serious. As the saying goes, no egg can remain unbroken when the nest is overturned. If the front is breached, the entire God realm and its subordinate realms will cease to exist. The foreign races need cultivation resources. If the God realm is breached, all the cultivators in the God realm will be slaughtered. Sect leader, Knight Sorrow understands. As Knight Sorrow walked through the treasure trove, he felt a heavy burden on his shoulders when he heard Xiao Tianxian, the Tianyun school's sect leader. Given his personality, even if he didn't protect the God realm, protecting his family and the 9 zones world was a must. Hey, there's a rainbow arcane spirit fruit on the platform up ahead. This Divine King grade spirit fruit can increase one's cultivation with a little refinement and consumption. Xiao Tianxian, the Tianyun school sect leader, reminded him. Can I consume a Divine King grade spirit fruit directly? Knight Sorrow asked doubtfully as he removed the rainbow mysterious spirit fruit. Haha, with your foundation, how could items below the level of the Divine King be effective? Tianyun school's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, smiled in response. Whether it was Night Sorrow's cultivation, physical strength, or divine soul strength, they all surpassed the Divine Lord level. Low-level items were no longer of any use to him. That's true. Sect Master, how do you refine this kind of spirit fruit? Night Sorrow continued to ask. It's very simple. This is the pill formula. The specific effects will depend on your talent in alchemy. Xiao Tianxian, who was in the heavenly cloud bow, passed on a pill formula called the Rainbow Profound Spirit Pill to Yishang. Good. After leaving the ancient Golden Crow realm, I will search for the supplementary materials to refine this kind of pill, Night Sorrow said as he continued to search for other items. Tianyun School's sect leader, Xiao Tianxian, smiled and said, "Why do you need to go outside to accumulate materials? I've checked the treasury of the Golden Crows. There are enough materials to support your alchemy on the spot. You promised them that you would only take 2 items. The Rainbow Profound Spirit Pill is one of them. Remember, mercy to your enemy is cruelty to yourself." And that works too. Hearing the words of Xiao Tianxian, the clan master of the Tianyun clan, Yishang suddenly felt enlightened. He immediately searched for the supplementary materials to refine the Rainbow Profound Spirit Pill under Xiao Tianxuan's guidance. Night Sorrow took out the 8-dragon cauldron and purified the various materials. Then he followed the formula to refine the Rainbow Profound Spirit Pill. Night Sorrow, your ability to purify pills is very good, but your alchemy skills are a little rough. You haven't been taught by a famous teacher, right? Xiao Tianxian, the sect leader of Tianyun Bao's Tianyun School, asked immediately after he saw Night Sorrow's alchemy skills. Night Sorrow, I've only been in the realm of the gods for a short time. I don't even have enough time to cultivate. Alchemy, weapon forging, and formation skills are a little neglected. Night Sorrow said honestly. He used to be a genius in these 3 areas, but now he didn't have time to study them. Alchemy, weapon forging, and formation skills can't be neglected. Keep this alchemy codex and study it carefully. You will soon be able to raise your alchemy skills to the king level. This will allow you to walk a smoother path in the future. Xiao Tianxian, the sect leader of Tianyun School, passed an illusory alchemy codex to Night Sorrow. As Night Sorrow was refining the Rainbow Profound Spirit Pill, he didn't have the energy to look through it. He didn't reply after that. After about a day, crackling sounds came from the 8-dragon cauldron. This was the sign of pill formation. Night Sorrow carefully controlled the flames in the Samsara halberd. Half a day later, under Night Sorrow's alchemy skills, the pill tribulation came. Kim Song, who was outside the treasury, saw the pill tribulation in the treasury. He was puzzled and asked, "Hongzu, what's going on?" "What else can it be? That kid is refining pills inside. It's the crucial moment of pill formation now." Kim Hong replied and continued. "He has the power of merit and good fortune. The Golden Crow clan can't provoke him in the future." He was still trying to recall what the Golden Crow clan ancestor had said, but he couldn't remember. "However, if I don't take revenge, I'm afraid my Dao heart will become unstable," Kim Song said unhappily. "With your strength, you won't be able to defeat Night Sorrow with the Tianyun Bao. You'd better give up, lest you affect the fortune of the Golden Crow clan. It's not a wise choice to go against someone with great merit," Kim Hong advised. He felt that Kim Song was a smart person and understood what he meant. He didn't say too much. Kim Song thought darkly, "I can't kill him, but that doesn't mean others can't. After today, I'll let the news that Night Sorrow has a sovereign-grade artifact spread throughout the divine realm. I don't believe that some sovereigns who don't have sovereign-grade artifacts won't be tempted." Kim Hong couldn't figure out Kim Song's thoughts. At this moment, the fragrance of pills wafted out from the Golden Crow clan's treasury. With the help of the Tianyun School's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, Night Sorrow had refined a king-grade pill, Rainbow Profound Spirit Pill. Furthermore, he had refined 6 pills at once. The quality was pretty good. "These pills are pretty good. Try consuming one first. The Rainbow Profound Spirit Pill's effects are very strong. It's best not to consume too many at once." The Tianyun School's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, reminded Yi Lingchen. "All right. Night Sorrow will remember this. After putting away the 8-dragon cauldron, Night Sorrow grabbed a rainbow profound spirit pill floating in the air, and swallowed it immediately. The 7-colored profound spirit elixir might have a beautiful name, but its medicinal effects were very strong. After swallowing it, Yishang felt as if a huge dragon was wreaking havoc in his body. He felt as if his entire body was being torn apart. Hang in there. Xiao Tianxian, who knew what kind of impact Night Sorrow was facing, reminded him with a smile. Back when he was a lower divine king, he had swallowed a rainbow profound spirit pill, and directly advanced to a middle divine king. Now that Night Sorrow had swallowed it at the high divine realm, the pain must be 100 times worse than what he had experienced back then. Only through hardship can one rise above others. I'll hang in there. Chapter 2675. Actually, tenacity is also a kind of cultivation talent. I'm relieved to see you persevere under such pain. Tianyin School's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, said with relief when he saw that Night Sorrow was in so much pain that he didn't even make a sound. This is nothing. Night Sorrow was still persevering. He waited for the first rainbow profound spirit pill's effects to wear off before swallowing another one. After swallowing the 6th rainbow profound spirit pill, Night Sorrow's cultivation reached peak high god, which meant that he was a half-step divine lord. A half-step divine lord is only half a level stronger than a high god, but there's a qualitative increase in strength. Night Sorrow thanks Sect Master for your guidance. Night Sorrow thanked him as he sensed the change in strength. Without Xiao Tianxian, it would have taken him countless years to become a half-step divine lord. Night Sorrow had originally wanted to become a high god on this trip to the ancient Golden Crow world, but he had unexpectedly reached peak high god. This made him very happy. Night Sorrow, my appearance has brought you a certain amount of opportunities, but it has also brought you a lot of unnecessary trouble. Once you leave this place, you'll most likely be hunted down by a sovereign. Are you afraid of a ruler? Xiao Tianxian and Tianyin Bao analyzed. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, in terms of strength, I have no way of fighting back against a ruler. However, in terms of mental strength, there are people who can make me feel respect, but I definitely won't feel fear. I'm very good. Your path won't be smooth, but I'll do my best to pave it for you. Tianyin School's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, promised Night Sorrow. After saying this, he continued, we've finished choosing the first item. Let's continue looking for the second one. Okay. I was thinking the same thing. As he spoke, Night Sorrow was thinking about the matter of the ruler. There was no question that he didn't have the slightest ability to fight back against a sovereign. Since that was the case, there was no point in considering it. After that, Night Sorrow continued to search the treasury of the Golden Crow clan with the help of Xiao Tianxian, the head of the Tianyin school. After a careful search, Night Sorrow took out a head-sized sovereign stone. This master's stone was 7 or 8 times larger than the one he obtained from Tianqing Gate. It could be used to improve the grade of the Samsara halberd. Furthermore, it could be added when refining the Golden Crow's feathers. This way, the arrows refined would be much more powerful. The ruler's stone you chose is very useful. Originally, I wanted you to finish refining the arrows before leaving the ancient Golden Crow realm, but I can't hold on for that long. Come back to Tianyin School with me. I have something to tell you. Tianyin School's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, immediately spoke after Night Sorrow obtained the sovereign stone. There was a hint of helplessness in his tone. Clearly, his artifact spirit body was about to run out of energy. Okay. Sect master, I'm leaving the ancient Golden Crow realm. Night Sorrow responded and walked out of the treasury of the Golden Crow clan. At this moment, Kim Hong and Jin Ye were waiting at the entrance of the treasury. When he saw Night Sorrow come out, Kim Hong cupped his hands and said, little friend Night Sorrow, if you need anything in the future, you can call this old man at any time. Please don't hold a grudge. As long as the Golden Crow clan doesn't attack me again, Night Sorrow won't hold a grudge. Farewell. Night Sorrow looked at Kim Hong, and then at Kim Song. When he realized that Kim Song wasn't around, he asked, where is Kim Song? Did he go to scheme against me? No. He's just seriously injured and went back to recuperate. Kim Hong explained with a smile. There was a hint of nervousness in his tone. However, his fear came from Tianyun Bao. Night sorrow was nothing in his eyes. That's for the best. If he's stubborn, I'll definitely make him and the Golden Crow clan regret it. Before he left, Night Sorrow looked at Kim Hong and Jin Ye and said coldly. He had a strong feeling that Kim Song wasn't around because he was plotting something against him. Little friend, take care. After watching Night Sorrow leave, Kim Hong sent a voice transmission to Jin Ye. Go and see if Kim Song is recuperating in his cave abode. Sigh. That troublesome Kim Song. Jin Ye sighed and flew to Kim Song's cave abode. When he arrived, he found that he wasn't there at all. He sighed and returned to Kim Hong's side. He said, Kim Song really isn't here. I think he's probably gone to spread the news that Night Sorrow has a ruler artifact. Sigh. Even after so many reincarnations, he still hasn't gotten rid of his evil aura. I could feel that there was an unstoppable aura coming from Night Sorrow. How about this? Go and catch up to him. Before he achieves anything, follow by his side and help him. I hope this can resolve the trouble that Kim Song has brought. Kim Hong pondered for a moment, and then explained to Jin Ye. Yes. Hongzu. As the Divine King, Jin Ye wasn't displeased at being sent to follow a high god. In his view, although Night Sorrow only has the cultivation of a high god, his true strength is not inferior to the Divine King. Following such a person is not shameful. Therefore, he quickly caught up with Night Sorrow, who was about to leave the ancient Golden Crow realm. He said, Little friend Night Sorrow, please wait. Night Sorrow looked at Jin Ye, the Divine King of the Golden Crow race, and asked doubtfully, What's the matter? Jin Ye said truthfully, The matter is like this. Kim Song has already spread some unfavorable rumors about you. Hongzu asked me to follow you to battle to resolve this matter. You guys are very sincere in doing this. Night Sorrow nodded and continued, but then again, a gentleman doesn't stand under a collapsing wall. As the middle Divine King, if you stay by my side, you can find an opportunity to kill me at any time. If you really want to resolve the matter with Kim Song, then make a heavenly oath to help me wholeheartedly before I become the Divine King. That's no problem, but when it comes to life and death. Jin Ye was halfway through his sentence when Night Sorrow nodded and said, If the enemy's strength exceeds yours by too much, you can leave immediately. However, as long as we have the strength to fight, I hope you can fight to the end. That's no problem. I, Jin Ye, swear. After Jin Ye made the heavenly oath, Night Sorrow temporarily accepted him. Ascending to the top and calling for help from all directions. This is the general trend of success. Jin Ye, the Divine King, joined Night Sorrow, the Tianyun School's sect master, Xiao Tianxian, and transmitted his voice with a smile. I hope so. According to Jin Ye, Kim Song has already left the ancient Golden Crow realm. He must be plotting something. Night Sorrow said worriedly. Currently, he was not too afraid of the Divine King, but he did not have the ability to resist a ruler. It's okay. We'll deal with it as it comes. Before this artifact spirit body is completely destroyed, this sect master will do his best to help you solve all your problems. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.